All right. So Dory, tell me what game have you been playing this week?
So I wrapped up playing Lost in Random recently. This is a game that came out in I want to say 2021, late
Yes.
2021.
That
Yeah.
sounds right.
Um, yeah. I initially wasn't super interested because it's EA, and I kind of have a general dislike of EA. But the game itself is terrific. And as we know, EA has been kicking ass when it comes to indies, and Respawn has been doing great, etc. So they're doing a lot better than they used to be doing anyway. Yeah, Lost in Random is basically a card-based action RPG, kind of like the way I would frame this game is if Tetsuya Nomura of Kingdom Hearts fame and you know Tim Burton of Batman Returns and Nightmare Before Christmas fame kind of had a brainchild together, and that brainchild made this game. This would just this is just like such a Tim Burton-esque aesthetic meets Chain of Memories kind of RPG card-based action. And I think they do it a lot better than Chain of Memories does. Although I do like Chain of Memories okay. I think it goes a little too long. But yeah, this is a really terrific game. I mean, it's very unique. The aesthetic mixed with the card-based combat, I think, really works. It's also got a lot of like Alice in Wonderland vibes too, because you're fighting this corrupt queen who is trying to take over the land, and she's already basically taken over the land, and you're supposed to fight her with this dice, and that's one of the main mechanics. Is you have this companion named Dicey, who you use to basically randomly decide how many points you can use on a given hand, and each hand, you can only use so many points to do certain attacks. So you've got a spear, an axe, and a sword and a bow. Those are like your four main weapons throughout the game. The game itself is I think about 10 hours, not super long,
That sounds
maybe close to 15.
that sounds about right.
Yeah, something like that. Um, and yeah, I just thought it was an excellent game. I really regret not checking it out at the time. I'm mostly talking about it just to like super recommend it, which is the reason I'd mostly talk about games I play. Um, but I just thought the art direction was really fun. There's a lot of fun wordplay because it's Alice in Wonderland inspired. There's a lot of puns and a lot of making fun of various tropes and things through wordplay, which I love that personally. A lot of the characters are super memorable. I think Manny Dex, who is the salesman, he's kind of like the merchant, the RE4 merchant of the game. He's super funny. His whole body is basically a card shop. So he's just very personable. He's written very well. And I think he's like one of my favorite shopkeeps in video games, honestly. He's just so nice and personable. And on half the time, he's like, yeah, I don't know how the hell I got here either, but here I am. Let's trade some cards. So yeah, I just wanted to like briefly talk about this just to really highlight it because it's an indie game. I don't think everybody knows about it or even checked it out. And I think it's super worth your time. It's not incredibly long. I think the aesthetic is very striking. I think they nailed that Tim Burton aesthetic very well. And if you like card-based combat, I think this is very accessible. I don't think it's difficult to get into. It did take me a little bit at first to figure out like what was what, but I think after about an hour or so, I had mostly figured out the system. All these little collectibles you can get to if you really want to stretch out your time. But the story's great. The characters are awesome. The writing is great. I think my only main problem is the ending felt a little rushed, and I don't know if that was a production thing or a writing thing. I will say the ending did feel a little kind of out of nowhere and rushed, and it didn't answer a couple of questions that I had personally about like what was going on in the immediate situation. But I think it's really worth your time overall. I don't know if either of y'all played it. James will be joining us shortly. I don't know if he played it either, but yeah, I thought it was really good, and I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah,
I
I haven't.
remember.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say. I remember watching. What's it called? Um, one of the EA like directs or whatever they had like back in 2021, which is like where they announced the Dead Space remake and where they had a bunch of Apex Legends and other news or stuff about their games. And I remember they showed this game, and I'm like, oh, I'm really interested in that. I might check it out, and I never did. I never did. Even though like I do see it on like sale for like $8 every now and again, so like it's not that big of a entry price
I think
to
it's on
get.
EA Play. For
Yeah,
like
I-
$5.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it is.
I played it on EA Play through Game Pass, which I think is super smart of them to partner up like that. But yeah,
Mm.
I did it through Game Pass, which had EA Play.
Yeah, yeah. I think what you call it. I got EA Play for about a month a little bit ago, but that was mainly just so I got a discount on Dead Space Remake, ironically enough, and I never got around to actually playing it. So I might do that in the future, but I'm trying to cut down on my backlog, and I despite that I keep buying more games still. So it's a brutal cycle.
It's
Yeah, it really is, honestly.
it's a really good game. I got the platinum last year in it, and going off the top of my head, I remember like you don't really damage the enemies. It's more like you hit them and like diamonds come out, and then you have to collect the diamonds to draw the cards. I
Hmm.
believe.
Yeah, it's like these little cubes or something or
Cubes.
whatever, and they power up Dicey. Dicey has to
Yeah.
eat them up, so you have to make sure that Dicey is like in a certain position on the field instead of always being right next to you, which can make combat a little tricky. Um, but
I remember.
yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought it was well handled overall. I did have, like I said, a little bit of startup issues, but I honestly think that's with a lot of games like this where you have a card based system and you're not used to that, or it has its little quirks and things like that. But there's like one example of like why I really love this game is like you defeat one boss by having a poetry battle with them. And it's just awesome because he can't rhyme for the life of him. And I mean literally for the life of him because I killed him. But you literally have like a poetry battle with him. And it's awesome.
What,
So
like
that's just like little things like that.
like insult sparring or whatever it's called in
Yeah,
the
it's
Dead
I mean
Island games.
basically I mean it's not a rap battle, but I mean it's basically
Yeah,
a more English eloquent rap battle
yeah.
or whatever
Yeah,
pretentious stuff you want to say.
I remember that. Yeah.
So yeah, that was such a good moment. So little things like that, I think, really make the game kind of come alive in terms of its own identity, and not just like a Tim Burton / Alice in Wonderland ripoff. I know Tim Burton did an
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland movie, but yeah.
It also reminds me of Psychonauts. It has that like
Oh
time.
yeah,
The
that's a
Tim
good
Schafer
call.
type style and
It's similar
humor.
to
Yeah.
it because it's not just like a card-based action game. It's also a platformer, and there's a lot. If I remember correctly, there's a lot of jumping like on platforms and stuff, right? Or
Yeah, there's a good amount of jumping as well.
yeah,
It's
it's a
not
3D platformer too.
Yeah, it's a card based game that has some 3D platforming elements. I really I don't remember too many platforming segments, but when they were there, I don't remember ever like being annoyed by them. Oh, I think also all the side quests are super memorable. Like there's one where you have to decide for this guy who has a face on his front and a face on his back, which one is going to become the dominant personality. And there's kind of a sad, sort of funny ending to it. But yeah, it's just a super like charming game. And I think more people should play it.
Yeah, I recommend it as well. It was really good. I like the aesthetic. I really like the story. I love the characters. I remember there being some emotional moments in the game. A lot of the characters were a lot of the side characters were memorable. Like Dory mentioned, especially the merchant. Because you have to buy all the cards, I believe, to get the platinum. Like that was like the last trophy I had to get.
Yeah.
Which wasn't that bad. Actually, the platinum was quite easy. It was a very fun platinum because you didn't have to do much.
Yeah.
You just had to enjoy the game. Really.
Because of that platformer element that Seb mentioned, there's exploration parts to it, and that fits right in with the rest of the world, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else you want to mention about it, or are you ready to move on?
Yeah, I mean, I just think overall it's a really great game, and it's one of those like games that I feel like, especially late in the game in 2021, kind of went under the radar. Definitely went under the radar for me, and obviously for Mitch as well. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's definitely at least worth checking out. The card-based combat's not going to be for everybody, but I do think it's pretty accessible. And you've got that action RPG element to it, similar to Chain of Memories.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely check out like all the EA original games. I mean, EA Originals is probably the best part of EA right now besides Respawn. So,
Yeah.
I definitely recommend playing Lost in Random for sure. Like Dory said, it's on Game Pass, and if you have it on if you want to play it on PlayStation, it's like usually like it's like less than $10, and I think it's on Switch too. So if you want to play that, like less than $10 usually. That's one good thing about EA games is they go down in price. All right, so let's start with our intro. This is episode 9 of the Lounge. Once again, I'm Sebastian, and I'm joined by Dory and Mitch, and then James will be on later. So episode 9 already. Can you believe we're already on episode 9? We're only one away from 10. This is just
very nice.
It just flew by.
I'll say as well, when you were starting up the show, I thought you were this close to saying, the number one topic that we have today is the first topic and stuff like that from Parks and Rec. If anybody has seen that show, just with the news. Anyways, yes. Sorry, get on with the show with the first topic.
No worries. And if you want to check us out, we're on YouTube and Spotify. So, Dory, can you read that statement for us, please?
All right. So
go ahead.
We're gonna talk. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Hogwarts Legacy, and we're
talking the game.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking the game, but it's important to do some background stuff. So we at the Lounge disavow and oppose all of J.K. Rowling's hateful stances towards marginalized folks, especially but not limited to trans folks. We encourage all of our listeners to support the trans community by donating to organizations such as Trans Lifeline, the Trevor Project, and the Sylvia Rivera Law Project. For those who feel conflicted about playing Hogwarts Legacy because of these things, but still want to play, we encourage you to minimize royalties that Rowling gets by buying it used, borrowing it from a friend, or several other totally legal methods. Now, I know Mitch had some questions about the game, and he's kind of curious about how it works and how it is. I know Seb's been talking a lot of positive things, so Mitch, go ahead.
I'll let Seb start because you have been playing the game, and I feel like, you probably have the best idea of how to start this because the questions I mainly have to do with the story and kind of how the actual game itself works because I'm not sure if we got on the podcast or not. I was very shocked to find out, like a couple months ago, that the Avalanche working on this game aren't the Just Cause, like the devs behind the Just Cause games, but the Avalanche behind, like I think the Disney Infinity games. I think that's the ones they worked on.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, like, what do you think about it overall? Like, do you think it is a proper game?
Absolutely. In fact, it's not just as a proper game. It's my game of the year so far. I mean, it's that good of a game. To me, it's a 9.5 out of 10 level of a game. Like, surprisingly, like I would never expected this game to be as good as it was. I mean, I'm a giant Harry Potter fan, but objectively, just as a game on its own, it feels like a Sony first party game. Like it's that level of quality. Like the detail of every room and building and place you're in is on the level of like Horizon and Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima. It's like that good. Like I can't. The visuals are just mind-blowingly good. Like don't get me wrong, there's some pop-ins when you're out in the open world, but it's just a gorgeous game. Like it's a shame this game doesn't have a photo mode, honestly, because
oh sorry, yeah, I'll actually let you finish. Sorry,
no, that was it.
Oh yeah, because I was gonna say like I keep seeing like clips on this appear on my TikTok and all that. And a lot of it is just people roaming around the castle. I mean, all right, to be fair, like about 70% is just people casting Avada Kedavra on students. That's what most of my feed is.
Yeah, those are mods though. You can't actually do that in the game.
Yeah.
You can't be a school shooter.
Oh, you can't actually?
No.
You can't?
No.
Oh, okay.
You unlock all 3 unforgivable curses through like a storyline that you do. But there's really no ramifications for using it because really though you don't really kill anybody in this. I mean you do kill people, but it's like the enemies
they're sleeping.
They just they disappear when you kill anyone you fight in a battle automatically just like disappears like Resident Evil 4. anyway.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
not like you
Right,
just
right,
straight
right.
up murder people. It's like people just kind
Mm,
of just vanish. They melt away, I guess.
right.
So
Right.
there's really no like it doesn't you're not like you can't really be evil. Like you can do some bad choices, but
Mm,
there's not a karma system. There's no bad ending. Well,
yeah,
there is a
gotcha.
different endings, but there's really no like you're an asshole.
It,
You
it,
destroyed the
it's
school.
like yeah, it's like minor differences.
Yeah, it's a family game. I mean, there's some
Okay.
really dark elements in it. Don't get me wrong, but Harry Potter's always been
Mm,
like that. There's a lot of dark parts to it, but it's
yeah, yeah.
still a young adult
And
franchise.
I mean, speaking of the story, one of my biggest questions, I guess you could say, about the game is that I don't have much interest in the Harry Potter franchise outside of Harry Potter himself, and like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like how do you think they handle, because you have an OC that apparently has, I don't know, supposedly has all these, great wizard powers inside of them. What you call it, that, that they can, like, do you think it juggles that well, or do you think it's just kind of contrived to let you play in the world?
No, the storyline of this game is very good. It's not like the best story I've ever like played, but it's definitely good. Like everything's good. The dialogue, the choices, the story makes sense. Even if even if the villain is not the most like memorable villain, because he's like this goblin guy that has red eyes. He's kind of like a Sith in Star Wars, but it's understandable why he does what he does because wizards. Because Harry Potter's always been about prejudice and people being prejudiced against goblins and non-magical creatures. Because this game has a lot of poachers that you fight, and they always like they're killing all the animals in the forest and stuff like that. So there's a lot, this
Right,
game
right, right.
tackles a lot of topics like that. And the goblins feel like they're being people are like racist against them. So
Yeah.
so he has like his reasoning for wanting to what he wants to do, which is have a war with the wizards, makes total sense. And you, the person, like you're a chosen one, but not really. Like you're you have like it's kind of like a lineage of people like generation to generation that have like this ability to have ancient magic that gives them the ability
Okay.
to do certain trials. But other than
Right.
that,
That's how they.
you're talented, but you're not like some like just OP in front of everybody else, like compared to everybody else. You
Yeah.
naturally unlock your spells, and you have to work for everything. Like you have to do all the quest lines and do the classes and stuff. You don't just walk in
Yeah.
and have
Gotcha.
like every power imaginable. Like it's something you have to
Gotcha.
earn in the 40 to 60 hours of gameplay. So it's not
And
like
and
go ahead.
are the classes just like cutscenes, or are they like actual interactable,
No, they're
like,
interactable.
gameplay?
There's mini
Okay. Okay.
games sometimes. There's like events in the that like missions you have to do in the middle of the classes. And
Gotcha.
they're pretty quick. Um, the character models, they're on the level of Horizon, like especially like people of color, like black people. Like I know people were praising that, like Horizon, like how gorgeous the character models look. It's so accurate.
I
It's
think I
just
remember
this game
seeing
is
that. Yeah. Yeah.
beautiful, absolutely beautiful in terms of character models. And like I said, it's all well acted, like very well. It's like this is a high quality game. Like it's amazing. Like Porky Games only made like shitty mobile games because you would never know. Like you would think this is a first party game from Sony on the level of
Oh,
detail you see
I
in this
thought
game.
Porky Games were just. I thought Porky was just made for this
No, I mean they
game.
just made Harry
Yeah,
Potter.
this one.
They're just the publisher of like
Right.
Harry
Right. Right.
Potter
Right.
games.
Right.
But still, like
I
the
see.
fact that Avalanche, the only thing games they made was Disney Infinity, and then Porky Games only
Yeah.
made mobile games. It's amazing. This game is like Horizon level of quality. I'm not even just saying
Mm,
that as a Harry Potter. Like I'm saying objectively, like this game is like you can go on a broom anywhere you are, or get on a hippogriff anywhere you are, and the map is gigantic, and the scenery of just flying over, like just flying next to the castle, is mind blowing. I can't even
mm.
explain how awesome it is. Um,
That actually.
I have a
Oh,
I have a question actually.
yeah.
I'll let James
Um,
interrupt. Yep.
I I don't know how long you guys were talking about the game before I jumped in, so you might have covered this already.
Mhm.
But in terms of the map,
Mhm.
what I've been curious about is like how much of the map is the school or the castle or whatever it is, and how much
Mm.
of it is outside of that. Like, is it just like that's the hub, and then there's a whole area outside of that, or is it just like the
That was my
grounds
question.
of the
Yeah.
place?
90% of the game is outside the castle. There's a giant open world
Right.
outside the castle, which is amazing
Okay.
because the castle is so detailed. Like like you can literally walk anywhere in the castle seamlessly. Like there's not loading screens. You can literally walk any. I mean, there is loading screens when you open a door. It's very slightly. It's kind of like how God of War does it, where there's like no loading screens, and they make up for like the loading screens when you're transferring between the on the tree, and the portals and stuff like that. It's kind of like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's seamless. You can literally be in the courtyard of the castle and then you get on your broom and fly up, and you're outside the castle and you can fly anywhere. The map is gigantic. I'm not saying it's not. It's probably not like Red Dead huge, but it's closer to that. It's gigantic.
Which-
map.
And that's kind of my next question. For everything outside of the castle, is it interesting? Because I've been really excited to check out the castle, but I couldn't really care less about the actual like outside of it. Like, is it worthwhile exploring outside the castle, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's typical. It's like Horizon. I don't know if it was Horizon's environment interesting to you. It's mostly woods and stuff, but
Yeah,
there's
okay,
so
so,
much
like, that's
there's
kind
so
of
much
thing.
content all over the place though. It's like this game has some of the this game's side quests are just phenomenal. I haven't been this like enchanted, pun intended, by like a side quest since like Witcher 3. It's like that level of like quality of almost every quest is good. It's really mind blowing. I usually don't like to do a million side quests in an open world game. I get burned out. Not once was I burned out by this game. I'm not just saying like again. I know Harry is extra special because it's Harry Potter, but I'm not just saying that as like a Harry Potter fan. Like I'm objectively like the side quests were really interesting.
Okay.
Like some of the, if anything, like the side quest with Sebastian, like the one of your friends that you meet in the school. He's a Slytherin. He's trying to save his sister, and he's getting in the dark arts to save his sister. So he means well, but he's still going down like a dark road to help his family. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
And then there's another one. There's another side story, like storyline you do. You meet this girl who's like in the like helping the animals, and you fight the poachers, and they're like in a circus tent with dragons are forced to fight each other, and and you have to rescue all the animals from them. And you have to rescue like a phoenix. And then there was another cool story about storyline that there's like 20 steps to these storylines. There's like 20 missions. And there's like one you have to like defeat this dark wizard, like this side dark wizard who's doing things. So it's just everything was the side stories were just as good as the main story, if not better. The gameplay is really fun. It's a lot like Arkham. You wouldn't think it is, but it is, because it does do the triangle, like the icons pop over your head, and you do triangle to block and circle to dodge. Like there's certain attacks you can't.
Oh,
block,
right.
So you have to dodge. So it's pretty much Arkham's gameplay, except that you can cast spells, and it's more of like a range game than you're not punching anybody. And you can unlock you can literally use all your spells all at the same time. Like there's like 4 different pages you can unlock. So if you're really good at the game, you can switch tabs really quick and do all these cool like moves. Like people that master this game are gonna have a blast mastering the combat, because like if you go by like the reviews and stuff of this game, people are doing the basic like same 4 moves. But if you want like if you really master this game, you can do like 20 moves in one battle. It's insane.
Okay.
Yeah. So gameplay is really fun. I mean, it's still, like I said, it is a WB game, so it's a lot like Batman, but I don't mind that, because I like that in Batman and Spider-Man. So if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, definitely.
What else? Oh, there's so much to explore, like puzzles and hidden areas, like tons. I mean, obviously it's Harry Potter. I didn't get everything, and I don't think I'm going to, because it's just too much for me. But there was just enough where I was happy doing that. Like there's literally everywhere you are, there's there's always some secret. There's especially one side quest that's only exclusive to PS5, and it was probably one of my favorite missions in the whole game. I just did it today, actually, where it's like a poltergeist kind of traps you in this like Silent Hill level, and it reminded me of like that Resident Evil Village DLC with the mannequins. It's so it's so creepy, but it was so good. I really liked that. What else?
Okay.
The music is on par with the movies. Like it's like it's incredible. It's like John Williams did it, even though he didn't. Uh, like it's like it's seamless with the movies. You would think like they used the soundtrack from the movies, but in fact it's all original. Outside like the main theme, even the main theme they never really play. Sometimes it's like little subtle puzzles. They might like have the jingle, the Harry Potter jingle, but other than that, it's all original music. What else? The customization is really awesome. Like you can transmog anytime you want. Like all you have to do is go to the menu and change it. So everything, because you do constantly get gear. Not like Strangers of Paradise where it's like you're constantly getting berated with gear.
Yeah.
But just enough like you get new gloves, hats, jackets, clothing, and then you can transmog it to look like anything anytime you want. So even if you get something new and you don't like the way it looks, you can just transmog it to the one you like. And so I had like 35 outfits playing this game. I like to change it every time I was playing. It was just cool mix and matching like different outfits. Because throughout the game, as you progress in the story, the seasons change. So like you start off like in the summer, and then it goes to fall, and then the spring. I mean, then the winter, and then spring. So you kind of want to fit the like tone. Like I like to wear the school uniform like when I was in the Hogwarts quest lines and stuff, because it fit better. And then when I was like in a cave or something exploring, I like to wear like more of like a adventurer like Nathan Drake kind of outfit because it just fit the tone more. So it was cool doing that.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, there's a hub in the room of requirement, which is if you don't know, it's a room in Hogwarts that like changes to anything you desire. So in the room of requirement, you get like basically your own hub that you can customize, like fully customize the entire room, and it's addicting. It's kind of like Animal Crossing in a way, like you can totally customize it any way you want, and that's where you can do all your crafting and stuff. That alone, you can spend like 5 hours building.
My last question is just like, what's the platinum like?
The platinum?
Yes.
It's long.
Like,
I'm not gonna do it.
Long?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You have to 100% everything.
Is it just like
and this
okay.
This would be like 100%ing like a Ubisoft game. Even though the map itself is not like an Ubisoft, it's not like you're just berated with a million icons, but you have to get like every single thing in the book, like every little detail of the book, and that's just too much work for me personally. So it's doable. It's just gonna be very long, and if you're not a big Harry Potter fan like I am, I don't know if, I mean, you might really love it and stick with it, but I don't know if anyone's like really chase the platinum unless they're like a giant Harry Potter fan.
Yeah, a big fan. I'm definitely not as big as you. It's like, it's like cool. There was some, cool movies I watched as a kid. Like, and I've got some passing interest in the stories themselves, but in terms of the actual, like the actual everything else and the lore behind it, I really couldn't care less. So, like it's, I want to pick it up at some point. I'm just waiting because I've been really. It's weird to say I'm addicted to a store, but there's a store that near me that sells a bunch of like sort of old secondhand games and consoles and stuff. Like it's where I got a bunch of PS3 games recently because I got a PS3. Funnily enough, I know it's the worst friggin' way to play it, but I got the Silent Hill HD collection.
Oh, nice.
Throughout the week.
Oh, the collection's terrible, but it's still.
Yeah, it's terrible. So I'm like, I'll play the games, and then like I know I'd be able to sell it for a decent price somewhere online. It's
for whatever reason. It's not a good collection, but at least you can get like trophies and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's also a big part of the reason. Even though I've seen and heard that the Silent Hill 2 Platinum is god awful.
I have the platinum. It's probably my proudest platinum that I ever did.
I'd believe that. I'd believe that from like what I've seen. That thing's torturous.
Yeah, most of it's easy except for the getting the spray,
you have to like get
the 5-star ranking or whatever it was.
S+++ or whatever it is.
You have to speed run the game.
Getting all the stars.
while killing like 90 enemies with with the bat, or I mean melee weapon, and 90 enemies with like a gun, and you gotta
And you have to
no
get all the
saves. You can't
collectibles and
save
yeah,
really. Yeah. I know.
yeah, it's
I was
ridiculous.
That's how much I love Silent Hill too. That the fact that I put
Mm.
myself through that. I never doing platinums like that again. I'm not there. I'm not in that space anymore. But
I don't think I would be able to do that even on my best day.
right. So back to Hogwarts Legacy. I have some criticisms. There's some pop-ins. Like it's gorgeous game. Don't get me wrong. But when you're out in the open world, you don't really see, I don't think I've ever seen a pop-in in the castle itself. But when you're out like in the forest and stuff, you definitely see some trees like popping in the background. It's not like Pokemon bad, but you do see it. It's just not like horrendous. It's subtle. It's not like I didn't really have any. I had a couple crashes on one mission, but other than that, it was a pretty clean game. I didn't really get any glitches. There was a couple of times where the robes were like fluttering around in a weird way, but again, it's an open world game. That tends to happen. Those kind of like, there's no way to avoid that. Even the most polished open world games have things like that. So, my point is like in terms of performance, there's nothing that like will affect your game experience. It's very minor, and I'm not just saying like I would tell you if it was a mess.
Yeah.
Like I said, the story is good. I'm just saying, like, the villain itself, it's a typical dark wizard, and you're, like, a chosen one. You're not really a chosen, but you get what I'm saying. It's, like, typical. It's nothing, nothing brand new or anything. I would say probably the biggest problem with this game is the enemy variety. It's very limited. You only kind of fight the same, like, 5 enemies, which tend to be goblins. Like I said, the main villain of the story is a goblin. Trolls, spiders, dark wizards, and poachers, which are also dark wizards. So that's basically all you fight this entire game. And that's it. And there's a couple like bosses, like side bosses, like they're like beasts and stuff. But for the most part, 95% of the game is you fighting those 5 same enemies. So
Right. Okay.
yeah, like it would have been cool if you got to fight some Dementors and use like Expecto Patronum or something like that. But I think maybe with this game's success, because this game is gonna probably be the highest selling game of the year, if not like, or at least in the top 5. Because it's breaking Steam records, and well, I mean it's like second place after like Cyberpunk, I believe, for a single player game.
It really depends if they release a Call of Duty game this year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean it should be in the top 5 at least. At the very least, it should be in the top 5.
Yeah.
Because Zelda's probably gonna sell like monster numbers too. So.
Yeah, 100%.
So we'll see. But Harry Potter's a giant IP.
To be honest, though, I'd bet this sells better than Zelda.
Oh, I think so.
Because I think this has more mainstream appeal than Zelda.
That and it's multi-platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming to Switch too, so I think that's going to make a big difference as well. This game's going to sell like hotcakes. So
Is it a cloud version of? Is it a cloud?
No,
version
I don't think it is actually.
Switch,
I mean, they
or-
haven't said, but I don't think it is.
honestly, I don't know how this game's going to run on Switch, because I don't even think this game could run on PS4. Like, this game is legitimately like a next gen.
I mean, they delayed it. Yeah, they delayed it on PS4 and everything as well. So
I would not play this game on PS4. I would, if I was somebody that doesn't have a PS5 yet or a Series X or something, I would just wait until I got the new console and then get this game. I would not settle for this game on a PS4. I would say the same thing about like Horizon or God of War. I would not settle for those games on the last gen console. I would just wait. I know it's hard to wait sometimes, but
I will say too. I mean, like obviously, yeah, PS5 is better just because it's an entire generational leap of hardware. But I remember when way back when the like PS5 launched, and at the time I didn't have it, but I still got Miles Morales anyways, and like I was still surprised that like even on PS4 Miles Morales was having like seamless open world to interior building transitions, which like even the last Spider-Man game that came out less than 2 years before, that didn't have it. So like I still think that the PS4 has some tricks up its sleeve, but I'm interested to see because we are so far into the new generation now, if that kind of will still be seen through or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the optimization, right? I mean, I would trust a Sony first-party game to optimize the PS4 better than like a third-party company like like Avalanche and Warner Brothers. So I would be blown away if they can do the same thing, because this game is next gen, not just because like the visuals, the character models. It's because how seamless it is. That like there's really no loading screens in this game, and it's such a giant world. It's like you can literally go anywhere without a loading screen. Only time you only get major loading screens is like when you first load up the game, and like when you fast travel, because basically how it works is, you basically walk. There's all these little fireplaces that you can just teleport to. So as you explore, you can just unlock all of them. You can travel all over the map. Yep. It's really nice. That you get a loading screen for that. Even then, those loading screens are like 5 seconds. Now I'm playing the PS5 version, so I know SSD is really fast and everything, but the next gen of this game is like God of War Ragnarok, where it's just everything's seamless. There's no major loading. It's not 20-second loading screens. It's like 5 seconds at most.
Yeah.
So yeah, this game is high quality. I'm blown away how good it is. I was expecting this game to be like a 7.5 or an 8. Well, I was always hyped for it because I'm a Harry Potter fan, but I was not expecting this game to be like a Game of the Year contender. I could definitely see this game being nominated as one of the 6 for Game of the Year. I mean, everybody on my timeline is extremely positive for the Keeleys. From what I'm seeing, everybody seems to like absolutely love this game. I haven't really seen anything negative, to be honest with you. And I'm like I said, I'm being totally objective. If this game was shit, I would tell you. Because there's shitty Harry Potter games. I played a lot of them. So, you know what's weird though, right? Like Star Wars has hundreds of games, and a lot of them are good, a lot of them are bad as well. Yeah. But Harry Potter really has a very limited video game selection. Like, they only made like movie titles, and that was it. They made a really cool like Quidditch like World Cup game that everybody loved, and people are dying to get it back. But
I think it's probably because Star Wars translates better to games on paper.
I think so too.
You've got like laser guns and swords and stuff that, but probably goes better as a game than wands.
Yeah, but this is the first time they ever attempted something like this, though, which is crazy. But
yeah,
this game might. It's probably gonna open the door now for this franchise to have more stuff, but I don't know. According to the devs, we're not getting DLC. They're done with the game. They're moving on to something else. There's no services or anything like that. This is a single player game from start to finish, and that's it. Which is cool to me. I would like to have DLC. I would have loved to have like a Quidditch DLC. But I don't. But I'm cool. We're just being a 100% single player game, and that's it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like I'm at the stage now where it's like I'd respect a developer for making a game, dropping it, and then saying cool. Like we might have a couple of updates and stuff to smooth things out. But other than that, we're good.
No, I don't know what you could do to improve upon like this game. I don't know what sequel could add to it. I mean, you can always do more missions and a different storyline and stuff, but I would be happy if this was just it, and then we can do something else now. Like I felt very completed when I finished this game, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean like I was very satisfied with what I got. I probably don't need another Harry Potter game like this for a long while or anything like that. But is it gonna be a sequel? I don't know. Probably not. But who knows really.
Is it like there was another game that came out recently that's it was like I'm happy with this being a one and done thing. I forget what it was.
Callisto Protocol or
Callisto Protocol.
I mean, I would like to see it.
No, Callisto Protocol needs a sequel because that game had so much 100%. Potential. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
What is it? I don't know. I'm just looking at the games on my shelf now. Let's just say Marvel's Midnight Suns. I'm satisfied with the game as it is.
Definitely.
I don't need a sequel because it's like, I mean, part of it's because I don't see how much you can drastically improve or update the gameplay. It's also just like I'm happy for it to be a one and done thing and then move on.
I guess I feel like that about most single player games. Like when Last of Us first, like the part 1 ended, I was like, okay, I'm cool with the ending. I love it.
Yeah.
We don't need a sequel. And then we got a sequel, and it was better than the first game. So it's one of those things. Like if you do a good one, then I'm happy. Will I get excited? Of course. But like if God of War 2018 just ended, I don't know. I guess I'd be happy. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that one's different because I guess that was kind of building up to a sequel the whole time. But I'm just saying, like, these games, single player games, I'm all about the one and done games. I love those one and done games. I hate that people use that as like a criticism. That's the majority of what games I play. Like, I play a lot of indie games. I beat them. I love them, and then I move on to the next game. And it's nothing. It's not and that doesn't make those games bad. They're just not everything needs to be a service and 100 hours of content and pad it out for years. I don't need all that. There's nothing wrong with those games either, but it's nice to have just a game you play that's like 40 to 60 hours. You get like engrossed in the world. You love it, and then it ends, and you move on with your life. So there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I think I pretty much nailed everything that I wanted to say. Like I said, definitely get if you want to get this game like used or whatever. I would definitely wait. Because games go down in price for sure. This game's gonna be so popular that everybody that wants the game probably already bought it. So this game will be on sale pretty soon, I would imagine. It'll probably be half off in a couple months. So I would get it then.
Yeah. I'm just keeping an eye on all the stores and stuff that have it nearby. But then again, I've got Resident Evil, Star Wars. Possibly Dead Island 2 coming out soon. Like, there's a lot of games coming out in the next 2 months.
Yeah, this would be a good summer game for you.
100%.
You don't have to be like I said. You don't have to be a big Harry Potter fan to love this game. You just gotta like open world games. If you like Ghost of Tsushima and Horizon and things like that, you'll love this game. It's open world. It's not like it's big. It's a big world, but it's not like Ubisoft where you just get overwhelmed by like a million icons on this map. But it's probably like Ghost of Tsushima. It has the typical third person shooter venture game style of gameplay where it's like there's puzzles like Uncharted. There's walking parts where you're just walking with a character down the road and there's dialogue. You know what I'm talking about. It's the same tropes.
Walk and talk, yeah.
Yeah, walk and talk. So if you like that genre, which is my favorite genre, you'll like this game. And if you don't like that genre, then obviously I would not recommend this game. Yep, that's about it. Actually, so it's time to move on then. All right, so let's talk about the DCU. So we went from one WB property to another WB property.
Another one.
Yes.
Big week for WB.
Absolutely, and you got Suicide Squad coming out in a couple months as well. So it's a big game. It's a big month. Obviously, a big year for WB games. So the state of DCU. Now, I've always been more of a Marvel fan, as you can see behind me, but I love DC as well. I think DC's always had better comic books and shows, and overall the comics are generally better. Like, I think Marvel's comics have not been that good the last 20 years. But Marvel's kicking DC's ass in the movies, obviously. I mean, Marvel has the biggest franchise in the world right now. Outside like Avatar, and Disney owns both. So, yeah. So
don't fuck with the mouse.
So James Gunn took over. James Gunn took over the DC completely. He's like Kevin Feige, and it's been very controversial because I know at least on my timeline on Twitter, people are pissed about Henry Cavill and they think James Gunn is like a slimy guy and backstabbed him or whatever. And people are like want to boycott. I know the what do you call him? What's the director?
Zack Snyder.
Yeah, Zack Snyder. The Snyder fans. I know they're all pissed off and ready to boycott and burn down DC. They want James Gunn's head and stuff. So,
I'm not with them. I'm not with them. We're the calm neutrals. I love Zack Snyder's movies, but I'm also really excited for them to just do a hard reset on everything.
Absolutely. This thing is like it's amazing how good DC is at everything except the live action movies. I did not like any of the Snyder movies. The only one I liked was the director's cut of Justice League.
Yeah,
but even then, that had to be 4 hours long to be good. So
yeah, I feel like that's the general consensus is that. I mean, just quickly, because I'll have to go in like 5 minutes or so. Mm-hmm. My general consensus with Zack Snyder is that he is not a director conducive to making blockbuster movies that are financially viable. Like, I love his movies, but as you said, they need to be like a decent amount of length
My thing is,
to
right?
properly tell their stories and to properly get across what they're trying to get across. And I love what they do get across, but he was probably the worst person to have, to be the spearhead of DCU back in the day.
Right, because he
Because
has his own distinct style, and
exactly, he's a very bold
yeah,
storyteller slash director
he's a
that
yeah
general audiences
yeah
will not or did not mix with.
right, and he's a great visual storyteller, but I've never cared for his writing, like
Yeah.
his screenplays just don't click with me as much as other people. Like I know people love Man of Steel, and there's people that there's people that hate that movie. I don't think I've ever seen a movie more divisive besides like Last Jedi. And for me personally, I thought it was like the whole Jesus, like Superman's Jesus trope was just heavy handed in that movie.
I mean, just quickly on Man of Steel, I think because once they got to Justice League, at least the like Zack Snyder cut, it turned away from less Superman is Jesus into more like all of these superheroes are like essentially modern reincarnations of myth, or they're just like they're our modern gods.
Right.
And because I think there was this really great trailer that had like essentially like all these like murals or like stone block carvings of like all the Justice League characters in like basically like matching all these classic paintings. Like you had Cyborg as is it the Tricentennial Man? Like, like that painting that Leonardo da Vinci did, I think, where it's like you've got the guy and he's like got all the arms everywhere, like they did that, and then they've got like Wonder Woman, like all that stuff. And I think in concept, especially in order to contrast Marvel, like sort of going that route with your heroes, in like at least in an Elseworld setting, is brilliant. I love that idea, but it was just not. It just was not able to get across to general audiences. Effectively.
My biggest problem with the DCU was the fact that like they never took their time with anything. Like Marvel, like the early Marvel movies are mixed, but they always told a more grounded story. Like Tony Stark wasn't fighting Thanos in the first movie, while in the DCU, the very first movie of the DCU, Zod was like had a earth-shattering device. He wanted to destroy the entire planet and make it into Krypton, and it kind of takes away from the world building when you're already destroying the world in the first movie. Like you should always start off in a grounded fashion, because
you need escalation.
Yeah, because it never really got to build anything. It was always like go from 0 to 100 real fast, and then Batman vs Superman, which is like what it was like right in the beginning. It was like the city's blown up. I was getting 9/11 imagery in a superhero movie. Like there was never a scene where Superman's like, I'm gonna punch you somewhere else and get away from the city. It just comes off as like an alien invasion movie. Like everybody, people are just getting murdered and just people covered in ashes, and
it just makes Superman look like a complete oblivious asshole who doesn't care if the city gets destroyed. And it's like, if Superman doesn't care, why should we care?
Yeah, even Goku was like, let's go fight somewhere else.
Even Goku is like, hey, let's take this elsewhere, Vegeta, and fight in an abandoned wasteland.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not his fault the news reporters follow him. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So that's my problem with the DCU. Is like you should start off with Lex Luthor and make it a more grounded film, and then you can't go. They basically just did Zod and then Steppenwolf and Darkseid. It's like all in the same 3 movies, and it made no sense. You made one movie of Superman, then you kill him off in the second one, and then you bring him back. I was like, huh? Like, what was the point of even killing him off?
I think viewing like the Snyder movie as like all his movies as a self-contained trilogy and not something that was planned and like very publicly planned to have multiple spin-offs and solo movies and stuff. I quite like it for what it is, but that mainly works in hindsight. I think definitely at the time, like I mean everyone knows how infamous and poorly thought out the Justice League email thing was in Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
Like not even I can defend that like that.
Yeah, so
like I get what they were trying to do, and I guess on paper, sure, but like like 2016, like that was the time where like we were getting Civil War like just a couple months later, and like this was like the time where big superhero franchises were really starting to pick up, and DC's answer to Marvel was an email, and it was the most obvious case of trying to catch up, just so you can have your big Justice League team up movie.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think. I think if DC went the exact same route as Marvel and had a bunch of solo movies and then Justice League, I don't think that would have worked out. I think that was a lightning in a bottle situation with Marvel, where it was novel and it was new and it was exciting. With DC, like, I'm more than happy to jump in at least semi-early into a team-up movie.
I mean,
that's my hot take.
I'm not sure I entirely agree though, because DC has more iconic characters, and Batman in a Superman movie is always gonna sell. Like, I think you could have pulled off like a single movies, because all the single movies were good, like, for the most part. Like, people liked.
Yes, my favorite Beyonce song. All the single movies.
I was thinking the same thing.
All the individual movies were like pretty good. Like, Men of Steel, people liked. Like, half the people liked. Wonder Woman was a big success. A lot of people liked.
I will say, like, on the DCU, I haven't seen many of the movies, but the only one I have seen, well, besides the newest Batman movie, which I thought rocked, I did enjoy Wonder Woman. I thought the ending was the much like maligned last quarter of it is correctly maligned, but I thought it was a great movie, and I mean, it was a lot better in tonally than the stuff that had come before.
I'll say this, and then I need to bounce. I honestly think the final act of Wonder Woman ruined the movie for me. I was like, okay, I'm like, okay, I'm liking this so far, and then because they set up this whole idea. It's like, it's like Wonder Woman has this, like, skewed mind view where, like, all this war is happening because of Ares and all that, and then, like, Steve's like, the whole movie's like, no, sometimes humans are just evil or they're just bad. And then it's like, just as she starts to come to that realization, it's like, oh, hey, maybe Steve's right. Then it's like, yep, it's me, it's Ares, it's been me all along. You kill me, now everyone's gonna be good.
So bad.
Like, no,
they had such a good chance to say something slightly nuanced,
and
then they're like, nope, evil villain.
Not only that, but the CGI was terrible.
The movie for me.
That action scene was just terrible. Like, DC CGI is terrible. I don't know what it is, but
I love the actor too, but Ares was horribly miscast.
I know.
I love the actor, but he was horribly miscast.
Yeah, I love that actor in a lot of things, especially
like David Thewlis.
Yeah, and he was horrendously casted for Ares.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I'll say this: I liked Wonder Woman 1984 more, even though
no, you lost me there.
Look, I had more fun with it. I'm like, look, I'm gonna turn my brain off, because I went into the movie with zero expectations, mind you. I went into it with zero expectations. I was expecting to hate it.
You saw that movie in the theaters too?
Well, because it was only available in theaters, because we didn't have HBO Max where it came out the same day.
Okay.
So yeah,
I watched it on
I mean, granted, I haven't watched the movie since then. I don't really have any attention to, because it was 2.5 hours long for some reason. So take that as you will. But yeah.
My thing is, though, like, DC is. Actually, let me ask you another thing. I hate that like this notion that everything has to be edgy or it's just copying Marvel. Like I saw like the Dungeons and Dragons movie that's coming out like next month, I think. Looks like a fun movie, and there's a lot of jokes in it and stuff. Everybody's like, oh, they're just doing Marvel again. I'm tired of Marvel humor. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, so do we have to say fuck you, Batman, to like be opposite of Marvel? Like, DC has such a fun cast of characters. Not everybody needs to be Batman. Not everything needs to have a blue tint and a dark shadows. Like, there's nothing wrong with the Marvel formula. The problem with the Marvel formula is just that they're just not doing a better version of it.
They're doing it into the ground.
Yeah,
I mean, there's just too much of it.
But humor intent, but a lighthearted movie is not a bad thing. Just because Marvel is getting a little stagnant with it.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
Well, that kind of leads me into my issue with the DC films.
Right, I need to run. But you continue the conversation. Anyways, what I was going to say, I do not care about Shazam 2. I think that movie looks utterly crap. But I am mildly excited for Flash. I dare to hype for that. Anyways, I'll let you continue where you were. I need to leave. I am very sorry. Bye.
Bye, Mitch. Have a good
day.
I will say it's really funny. Kim and I were watching wrestling on TNT, and they were showing a trailer for Shazam. I had the TV muted, but she didn't. and she once the trailer got done, she's like, "Wow, that looks really bad." I was like, "Did it?" I have no idea, but yeah.
The Shazam movie, the
So-
first one was really fun. Like that was like one of the better DCE movies. Like that was the most.
Yeah, it sounded
Marvel
like a
movie.
decent time. I never watched it, but it sounded like a decent time.
Yeah, I think you guys would like that one if you guys like have a movie night or something. Like that's a fun movie to watch. The CGI is not great though. Again, it was bad, but the performances are really fun because the little kid.
But yeah, go
playing
ahead. What
Gronk.
were you gonna say
Go
before
ahead,
that?
James. Go ahead, James.
Oh yeah, that's right. So, but I was just gonna say that my problem with the films, the DC films in general, is apart from the stuff like the Batman and Suicide Squad and the stuff that's separate,
Mm-hmm.
everything they do, it just kind of feels like they're doing the same thing as Marvel, except later and worse.
Yeah.
You know, like with the new Flash movie, like they're doing the whole bringing Michael Keaton's Batman into it, and it's like, okay, that's the same thing they did with Spider-Man.
It was like a gimmick.
Like, yeah, it's like they're just doing it. It feels like they're just doing it because Spider-Man did it.
No, that's
like,
yeah, I
Yeah.
totally agree with that. Like, they should. My other issue is that, like, why are we rebooting the franchise with the Flash movie? I mean, first of all, I'm not supporting Ezra Miller in any way, considering what that person did. Okay, I'm not gonna get into details, but why not just reboot from day one? Like, why do we have to make a big storyline with Flashpoint and Michael Keaton? Like, can we just say movie? Okay, we want to start over. Day one.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're tying this in with Ezra Miller and all that.
Because and I think it's weird like that as well, because if you just wipe the slate clean and start fresh, someone like me who has not cared for and been watching the films can jump in. Whereas,
Exactly.
Now I need to catch up, or I need to watch this film to get it, to jump in,
That's the comics have a similar problem as well. Like they'll reboot like from issue 1, but like they'll connect it to their previous universe. Like some universal event will happen. You still have to know the characters from before, and you have to
sometimes it makes it worse. Like I remember when DC rebooted their comic book line in the 2010s, and it completely backfired. And it backfired so bad that they had to do it again. Another few years later, I think they called it Rebirth or something.
Yeah, it's
I don't remember what the first one was called.
52. Yeah, people.
52, the new 52. Yeah,
people did not like 52, except for Batman.
The new 52 was terrible, except for like
Batman.
the Snyder run on Batman.
Yeah, people.
And
loved
that's
the
about
Batman.
it.
Yeah.
Well, Scott Snyder's amazing, but besides that, everybody else just didn't pull their weight or made changes that were just bad.
Yeah, I've fallen off on the comics, but from my understanding, people love the Rebirth. I've read like I read several Rebirth, and I liked it, but the problem was it connected to 52, and it connected to Watchmen, so you had to read like 7 different stories to jump into the issue number 1 of Superman.
Yeah,
it's just,
it ended up being that
I get confused.
Yeah, it ended up being that one of the Watchmen was behind everything.
Yeah.
And then like they did a Watchmen tie-in thing. I don't even remember if it was successful at all, but it was like it all built to that. And it was like, that's really what we were all building to.
Yeah. So my point is the comic books never been very casual friendly with that kind of stuff. Really, what it comes down to comics, you kind of just have to jump into whatever issue, because there's always different storylines going on at the same time. Just jump into the beginning of one story and then get into it.
It's like pro wrestling. There's no point of I'm gonna start here and that's the exact beginning.
Yeah.
Like the most equivalent you can do with pro wrestling is like after WrestleMania, most of the storylines reset. But even then, sometimes there are long running storylines that have been going on, and you'll be totally clueless. Yeah, just jump into it. You got no choice. That's what I did in 2016 and 2017. I was like Howard the Duck, Squirrel Girl, and I think one other one I started reading, and I'm like, here we go. I have no idea what's going on, but here we go.
Right. But I think with a movie universe, I don't think you can do that, because you're trying to appeal to a casual audience, a mainstream audience. So
yeah, for sure.
So if you're trying to like, I think for the most part, the Flash movie is gonna like reset everything, but I don't think anything's gonna be directly like tied to it. I think this is kind of one off. I feel like DC. I think Warner Bros. Was just in a bad situation. They had to get the movie out because they just invested way too much money into it to just cancel it. So like I understand I understand like why they would cancel it, but sometimes some things are just too big, and you can really hurt your company. So I understand why they're doing
Yeah,
it.
and I mean sometimes you fucking cancel a really promising film that has a lot of like really good themes
Batgirl.
in it that might or may not involve. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
wound up my joke too long there, but yes, Batgirl.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's
What they
okay.
should have done, right? What they should have done, in my opinion, is just forget the whole cinematic universe thing. There's too many drawbacks.
Mm.
To it. Just like do what they've been successful at, which is the Batman, Suicide Squad,
Standalone movies.
Joker.
I loved Suicide Squad. That was such a fun, good movie. That's one of the best superhero movies. The obviously the newer one, not the older one.
But
That was what's one of the best with John Cena. That was one of the best superhero films if you want to call them superheroes, one of the best superhero films I've ever seen.
yeah,
I really liked it.
Yeah.
although Suicide Squad is not a standalone movie because it connects to Peacemaker and all the future.
Right. Well,
future
originally it
movies.
was before they announced Peacemaker on HBO, or it seemed like it
Well,
was
no,
more standalone.
it technically connects to the first Suicide Squad as well, right? It's just that
Oh, does it?
Yes.
It's just that it's so loose that watching that
Oh,
terrible
right.
movie is
See,
not a
I
prerequisite.
cared so little about the DCU universe, I didn't even realize that it connected
I
to
mean,
the first one. I really thought it was standalone.
connects, but it's a very soft connection where it's like you could easily just forget
Yeah.
the first one exists.
That's fair.
So James, I understand what James is saying, but they're doing the opposite. What James is saying. In
Yes.
fact, they're combining the games and movies together,
Which is nuts. That's
So like
nuts.
the actors that are gonna play the characters in the movies are gonna be the characters in the games as well. Which I don't really
Ridiculous.
know how you even do that because that creates a lot of problems with contracts. And what if you can't get this person to play this character? You're gonna get a voice actor. It's just a not. I don't. Really
What are they
understand.
going to do with all the people who don't know how to play games? How are they going to experience? Like they're going to have huge gaps in their knowledge of the story
Yeah, I
of
hope
this movie TV series.
Yeah, I hope they don't do like Disney Plus shows where they have like stories that are connected to movies through games and people have to play the games to know what's going on. I hope they don't. I don't think that's the plan, but I hope they don't do anything
Yeah.
like that. That'd be very confusing. Because even the Disney Plus shows still largely stay on their own. Like Moon Knight and there's like no connection to anything, and Hawkeye really didn't connect to anything. So I mean, it references the movies. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't it's not building up to anything. But for mostly, like the WandaVision tied up into the Doctor Strange movie, and what do you call it? Captain Marvel is leading up to the Captain Marvel movie that we're getting with all three of them. So it does connect.
And this is one of the drawbacks
Yeah,
of the cinematic universe that I was talking about,
yeah, it is a
Like-
drawback.
where if you have standalone films, right?
Mhm.
The Batman is great. I can just go and watch the Batman, if I want to experience that story again. With the Marvel stuff, I guess I can go and rewatch films, sure, but if I want to get that whole story, it's all connected. I need to start from the beginning. I need to watch
Yeah.
all of them. I need to watch all these TV shows,
Yeah.
and like the TV shows, I've not enjoyed a lot of them. I need to watch all the terrible movies if I'm doing like a full rewatch of the thing. And there's so much. It's like if you look at it like a TV series, the whole series of movies. It's like if there was a TV series where there was some great episodes, but there was also half of them were awful, terrible episodes, you probably wouldn't consider that a really good TV show.
Fair. I mean, I don't agree with you. I don't think I don't really think there's anything terrible. Like even the worst Marvel movies, I thought were like entertaining, but like okay. But I never found them like horrendous, personally.
You would actually need to pay me a serious amount of money to even consider watching Thor: Love and Thunder again.
Like that movie was entertaining, but it was just very forgettable for me. But I didn't think it was like the worst movie I ever watched.
I couldn't bring myself to rewatch it. I really couldn't.
No, I don't. I'm not.
But,
I'm not saying
yeah.
you're wrong. I'm just saying like, there hasn't been an MCU movie that I found just straight up garbage. Like I absolutely hated every minute of my life. Like that's how I felt
Yeah.
like when I was watching like Batman
I
versus
think for
Superman.
me, I think for me, the last MCU movie I saw in theaters was No Way Home, which I thought was brilliant. But I'm also exactly its target demographic and target age group with the nostalgia, which completely worked on me. Doesn't always work on me, but works on me. And then other than that, I haven't watched any of the I didn't watch She-Hulk. I didn't, and it's not because it's whatever or whatever.
Woke.
But I didn't watch She-Hulk. I didn't watch. I think the last TV show I watched was The Falcon and Winter Soldier or whatever. I think,
which is still my favorite. That's still my favorite series that they've done so far.
Yeah. I'm burnt out on all the superhero stuff. I'm here for Spider-Man at this point, and I'm here for Batman, and like I'm here for interesting stories.
Yeah.
But I just don't care about connected universe. Once Infinity War was done, and I know we're talking about MCU at this point, but it's all related anyway. You know, I was like, I felt satisfied. I was like, I don't really feel like I need to keep watching these.
That's fair. That's fair.
So,
like I said,
but I mean, I will. I watched No Way Home, and I loved it. But I couldn't even watch Wakanda Forever, and I wanted to watch that.
That's a great movie.
But I can't stand the main actress that they picked for it. And I know, you know, I won't get into why. Yeah, I won't get into why, but political stuff with her.
Was it the COVID stuff, right?
Yeah, she was like anti-vaccine. It was really shitty. It delayed the film by like a year or something just because of her shitty beliefs.
Yeah.
And so and obviously that's not anything to do with the rest of the cast and crew and stuff, but that just kind of soured me a little bit.
No, I understand. I said this. I think I said this last episode, but I don't feel that way because it's been a long time since I've watched anything Marvel related. Now that I think about it, like I don't even. What was it? Spider-Man? Oh no, Wakanda. I mean, I'll say Black Panther was the last one, and then there was like a gap.
It looked good. I'm sure it was good. It got good reviews.
I haven't really thought about a Marvel movie in a long time, so it's not like I'm being overwhelmed with like something every week. It's been a while since.
Yeah.
So I don't feel that burnout.
There's definitely a lull at the moment.
Yeah, so I don't.
I also
don't
just feel like
personally.
it just also feels to me like they're just scraping bottom of the barrel stuff. At least in some ways, there are exceptions. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is obviously not bottom of the barrel stuff, although before James Gunn it would have been. But I have no interest in most of the movies they've announced. I just don't care about these superheroes or whatever.
I think most people agree with you on that. I mean, I mean, in general, it seems like the audiences are still going to the movies and supporting these movies, and the reviews are still positive.
But I mean, it helps that it's Disney great. And they've bought out so many of the movie theaters. You know that they've crowded out all the less popular the indies and stuff like that, which I hate. I hate that aspect.
Sure, but even like critically, like the movies still do well. Like they're not like, getting bombed. Like,
sure. I mean, Quantumania hasn't, but that's an outlier.
Even the user reviews are positive.
Their user reviews are good. That one's weird. I haven't seen. I wasn't going to see it anyway.
I think people are soured on Phase 4 just because they spent a lot of time just setting things up, and it has affected. Yeah. It's kind of hurt the movies. Well, not kind of, definitely hurt the movies.
It has, but it was easier for people to accept that slow build in Phase 1 because we didn't have those expectations of the Infinity War and and everything else. But now we have those expectations, and we're like, get on with it.
Yeah. Plus, I don't think the actors now are on the level of Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Hemsworth.
I mean that's the other problem with live action stuff is eventually actors leave, unfortunately pass away, or they move on to other projects out of frustration.
Yeah.
That was what Zoe Salanda said, right? Who played Gamora. She's like, I feel like I'm trapped in the MCU and I can't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Which is just a shitty feeling for any artist to feel.
Mm-hmm. No, it's fair.
And I'm not anti-MCU. I know I'm saying a lot of. I love Marvel. I love DC, and I just want this stuff to be good and to entertain people. That's all I want. So I want this stuff to be good.
Right, like that's how I am. I understand how people feel like, oh, they're overrated. They're destroying cinema. Like I think that's all nonsense. But to me, they're just entertaining 2-hour movies. I'm not like, they're not like Citizen Kane. I'm not looking for like some, iconic movie. I'm just looking to be entertained. So, and I think MCU has some legitimately great movies, to me, I love Civil War. I absolutely love Winter Soldier. I love Infinity War, and I love Guardians of the Galaxy. And so there's plenty of mid ones, like Dark World mid and Love and Thunder was mid, and I don't like to watch those movies. I skip them, but they still weren't outright terrible to me. So that's where I'm at. But in terms of DC, right? So let's get back to DC. So we hit on the state of the DC, but now James Gunn's doing all over again. He's totally blown it up. And he has a lot of plans, and I think James Gunn is, you can trust. I think he's a very trustworthy director. I think he has a good portfolio.
I agree.
I
feel.
I genuinely like the Scooby-Doo movies. I think the second one.
I forgot he did those.
Yeah, I think the second one is like it's a bad. I don't know if it's a good movie, but it's just really entertaining, and it's. I think people are like opening up, like are realizing like it's amazing satire. You know what I mean? Like a parody of Scooby-Doo. Also, he did Slither, which I love. It's a great horror movie.
Yeah, I need to watch that at some point. I've watched it before, but it's been years.
Very, very gross movie. And then Guardians of the Galaxy, he's made them like A-class heroes. Like Guardians of the Galaxy was never the superstars they are today. So
I'm probably gonna go see Guardians, even though I'm super burnt out. But yeah, I could feel like watching the video where he has all the plans that they have for DC. I could feel his excitement, and that rubbed off on me a little bit. Like not that I'm like super pumped about it, but I mean I think
too.
Swamp Thing looks really good. I love Swamp Thing. I think that's great, and specifically taking from Grant Morrison, taking the Batman and Damian stuff from the Frank Quitely run, and Grant Morrison run that they did together, which I've read, is very good. I was really big into comics in like the mid 2010s. It lasted like a couple of years, but I think they've. What I like the most about it is like the source material. Like he's literally shouted everybody out that he's taking inspiration from, and I think that's great because that means people can't be like, oh, well, this is exactly like, I'm sure some people will anyway because that's how comic book discourse works. But he's literally said like, yeah, we're inspired by this person. This story arc is great.
Yeah.
This creator is great. Like, go buy their stuff. And like he's made like people trend #1 on like Amazon comic books or whatever because he shouts them out. I think that's great.
Absolutely. I mean, you can tell he's a true comic head. Like, I think that's why Marvel works so well, is that Kevin Feige is a giant comic fan. You can tell that James Gunn is as well. My only question for James Gunn's universe is that he says, I'm writing this, I'm writing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. He's doing like 7 projects at the same time. I worry. My only question is he like. Is he selling? Is he just spreading himself thin? Is he like doing too many projects at the same time? I mean, he's doing an animated show. He's doing Peacemaker. He's doing the Superman movie. He's doing Guardians of the Galaxy. He's doing. It's like he's. I hope he's not doing too much at the same time. So we'll see about that. The very first thing they showed was Creature Commando. It's like an animated show. It kind of had like a horror vibe. It looks like a Frankenstein.
Kind of reminded me of a G.I. Joe meets superheroes.
Yeah, and then they're doing a Waller TV show, Amanda Waller TV show, which is I don't know, I'm not really into that. What excites me is James Gunn's doing a Superman movie that he's directing himself, I believe.
Yes,
Superman Legacy.
That looks great.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing we got is a picture, but a picture like an art style picture. I
that's the one from.
Yeah,
that's the All-Star. It's one of the best Superman stories I've ever. I'm in the camp, and I know some people hotly disagree with this. I think Superman's kind of boring. I know some people think that with the right way he can be written, he can be interesting.
Yeah.
I think once again Grant Morrison. Again, this is Grant Morrison, I believe, with Frank Quitely did a Superman run that's called All-Star Superman. And it's like everything you need to know about Superman in like 5 in 1 volume or something. And it's like, it's incredible. It's everything you like about Superman distilled into like 1 volume.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I like Superman as a Boy Scout. I like good Superman. I like the.
Yeah, same.
I like the I think Captain America in the movies perfectly captures what a Superman should be. I don't like brooding, miserable, dark Superman. I'm getting tired of like the Injustice Supermans. Like they keep doing like what if Superman was a bad guy and murdered people?
Oh my god!
I think it's overdone now.
No one's ever thought of that before.
I think it's been overdone now, and I want to go. I want like a fun have you watched Superman and Lois yet?
I have not.
Yeah, like that actor that plays Superman is like really good because he captures like that Boy Scout. Like I'm always looking to do good and help people, and I have cheesy lines, and I'm like, he's a nerd, but he's like, no, but he's super strong and everything. I just
Like
I love that.
I know it's partially nostalgia talking, but the Superman I want is the one from Justice League. It's the one from Justice League Unlimited. It's the one from the cartoons. It's the one from the DC animated universe that had, is the Boy Scout, gets made fun of by Batman for being an absolute nerd, and gets like mentally shoved in a locker by Batman every time they're together. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
It's a great dynamic. I want that.
Exactly. And fun fact that the voice actor of Superman in those shows is the same voice actor as Sephiroth, but.
Yeah, I thought that was so funny when I found that out. Yeah. But anyway.
But yeah, like I want a Superman that's cheesy. I love the Boy Scout Superman. I think that that's why I love the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, because it's heroic. The theme is heroic. He's saving people. It's not like I'm not getting 9/11 imagery in my Superman movie. I'm not seeing people suffering. I don't need that in a Superman movie. Like, I understand why they do that, like why Zack Snyder did that in his movies. He's telling his own story, but I just personally, I want to feel. I think Superman should be the symbol of hope, because that's what the S symbol on his chest should be is about, and that's what he should be. He's somebody that he's the perfect example of like escapism that people want in movies, because I don't need to watch CNN on my Superman movie. But I'm not one of those people that like, oh, I have to have escapism and everything. Because I think you should hit on political themes and real world issues in movies, but at the same time, I think it's Batman vs Superman was overdone with it, whereas I just felt like shit that whole movie. I'm like I'm tired of this, watching Fox News and CNN debate. Is Superman evil? Is he a god? Is he trying to take over the world? I just want like a fun heroic Superman movie after what we've gotten, but that's just my opinion. I know people strongly disagree with that. They love the Zack Snyder Superman, and don't get me wrong, I think Henry Cavill was a perfect choice for Superman. I just didn't like the writing, so I'm not blaming the actor. I think he did a good job.
Yeah.
All right. So Superman Legacy, we're getting a Green Lantern show, which I'm really excited about. Because Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart are cool characters, and that Ryan Reynolds movie was horrendous.
Yeah.
And we haven't
and was rightly made fun of.
Yeah, and we haven't got any Green Lantern stuff since then. But we're getting a TV show, so TV shows tend to be better for the movies for world building, because you can do like 8 episodes and build the world. You don't have to rush, Because I think a lot of times, like these superhero movies, especially Marvel and movies, where it's like they got to build the world and develop the characters and tell a story from point A to point B all in the same time, and it conflicts with each other. Like Eternals, for good example. Like 90% of Eternals was world building, and the rest of the movie was just like, and then the movie had a plot at the end. A show is better for world building. So I that's the one good thing of having a show and movies connect, is that like you can build the world, the foundation in the show, and then you can jump right to the movie. And then as long as you tell the movie doesn't feel like it has to connect 100 things to understand it, I think general audience would be cool with that, So it really depends how they do it. I know I'm talking a lot. What else?
I have nothing to say about Green Lantern. Sorry.
No worries.
I did like him in Justice League Unlimited and Justice League the animated show, but otherwise, I've never been interested.
Yeah, I'm not a giant Green Lantern fan, but it is a part of the DC that has not been really done like on the big screen.
Yeah,
at all.
And I mean, it's wild to think about that, because if you think about his powers, he's got like one of the most diverse set of powers, like. And there's a Lantern Corps like built into the show, and you've got the Sinestro Corps and the Sinestro main villain. So I mean, it's like you've got like plenty of elements there for a good TV show.
Yeah, and also Green Lantern makes for a great video game, because you can do so much with the with his powers, because he can make. I mean,
he summons a Looney Tune-esque hammer out of his ring. I don't know what more you need for a flippin' video game.
he can do whatever he wants. He can. It's up to his imagination. He can literally create anything.
It's literally the SpongeBob episode where they use their imagination and scare the shit out of Squidward. Like that's what his ring is.
That's a great
anyway.
Yeah. All right, so they're doing Authority. It's a film. I don't really know a lot of the things James Gunn revealed. I haven't followed comics in a long time, so I'm kind of like unfamiliar with a lot of the projects he's mentioning.
I believe that's a Mark Millar film, the same guy who did Kick-Ass. I could be wrong. but I believe that's another Mark Millar kind of edgy anti-hero
Looks like it.
superhero thing, kind of like Kick-Ass. But I could be wrong about that because it's been a while since I've really paid attention to comics. But I believe so.
Yeah, it fits the tone of.
But
like,
expect it
Peacemaker.
to be similar. Yeah, expect it to be similar to The Boys or something like that. No, obviously not necessarily the same,
Yeah.
but in similar spirit.
Yeah, I mean, Suicide Squad and Peacemaker have that tone. Like, it's very adult.
Yeah.
And swearing and
Yeah.
gore and stuff.
But they're also kind of goofy. I suspect Authority will be a bit more serious, but also I never got into the series. I never really got into Mark Millar in general, so
Gotcha.
I don't know. But yeah,
And then they're doing Paradise Lost, which is like a Wonder Woman thing. For the pictures they
that
show,
sounds really interesting.
it sounds violent, so it sounds like it's gonna be more adult. From my
Yeah.
understanding. And then what I'm excited about is the Brave and the Bold Batman movie with Damian Wayne, as you mentioned earlier. Because
Yeah.
I love Damian Wayne as a character when he's done right.
Yeah.
Sometimes
He's such a little shit.
Yeah, sometimes they go a little too far with him, make him a little shit. It gets very annoying.
Yeah, they do. If they go, they're like, hey, here's a cool idea. A little shit of an assassin who's like really fucking annoying. Let's annoy the audience. Like, you don't need to annoy us that much, but every now and then it's like, oh, I want to just strangle you, kid, because you suck.
So I guess the Batman, and there's gonna be two different Batmans. I mean, there's gonna be the standalone Batman, which we all like, and then this new Batman that's gonna be part of the universe is gonna be like older, I guess. He's gonna be like middle aged because they're doing the Bat family already. So I'm guessing he's established. So I imagine he's gonna be in his 30s.
They're basically using. Then this is another thing that shows that James Gunn pays attention to the comics, but they have something in the comics as well called Elseworlds, and that is stuff that is not canon or stuff that is just supposed to be labeled like that, just to let you know, like it's super out there. Like I think there's one about Arkham Asylum. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it's a very wacky one. I believe that one's explicitly called Elseworlds. But yeah, I think this imprint's a good idea. I don't know how it's going to work in practice, but it's a good idea.
Right.
I wish the Batman was canon because it's so good.
Yeah, like you could have easily made it canon because that movie was very standalone anyway. Like you could have easily just said, "Oh, it's the same universe," but I'd have no problem with being separate, honestly. And I don't mind the Joker movie being separate either. I have nothing wrong with. I have no problem with standalone movies. I like cinematic universe. I love like lore and stuff. I'm all into that, but I have no issues if they choose not to do that. Then we're getting a Booster Gold TV show, which is interesting.
Should be fun.
Yeah, that should be a fun show. I hope. See, that's where Booster Gold is a perfect example of why not every character in DC needs to be dark and brooding and swearing and edgy.
Yes.
Booster Gold is a charismatic kind of Johnny Bravo like character. Actually, that's the perfect comparison is Johnny Bravo. I think Booster Gold.
He's such an asshole. He basically, for those who don't know or haven't watched the video, he is this total loser from the future who goes back into the past only to convince people. You know, one of those assholes who on your timeline is like, yeah, if I could go back into the past, I'd impress all these medieval peasants with my technology. That's the kind of guy that Booster Gold is. He's like, well, I'm going to be a superhero just because I have really advanced tech and try to win the adoration of fans. So he's great. I mean, I love him in Justice League Unlimited. I would love if they would do a movie focused on Question and just have it be a lot of conspiracy theories, just the stupidest shit possible, just to make fun of conspiracy theorists. That would be great. But then, of course, he's right in some dumb way. I don't know how you do that, but I think that'd be fun.
Do a noir film with him or something.
Yeah. Oh my God, he's so fun. He's such a great character. I love him.
I always said if I was in charge of a Batman movie, I would do a noir film with the with the Sin City like tone, the black and white.
Yeah. Absolutely,
that's the movie, and it would be a crime mystery.
They have Batman Noir. I mean, that's a thing. That's a comic book series, I believe.
Yes. I'm not saying I would put him in the 40s or anything. I mean, like I would just have the tone be like black and white, very edgy.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to put him in the 40s, that's Gotham by Gaslight.
Yeah. So that's the movie I would tell, because I think one of the things I love about the new Batman movie was the fact that he was more of a detective, because that's like Batman's main thing. Like he's a detective. And
he's the world's greatest detective, and all the other flipping movies never showed that. They just showed how he smoked 12 packs a day and he sounded like he was dying of cancer.
Where the other guys go?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I love those movies too, except for like.
Yeah, no, I do as well.
Batman,
But they're
actually even Batman and Robin, I like just because it's so bad that it's like entertaining and the puns and stuff. But
who killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
yeah. So they're also making a Supergirl movie. Is it the same actress as the Flash, or is it like this is whole?
I have no idea.
Probably.
Because
I can't imagine they'd change it if they're doing this whole.
yeah, because Supergirl is big part of the Flash movie now. So, I'm curious if they're gonna do that. All right. I'm not a giant Supergirl fan. Like, I'm not. I didn't really like the show that much personally, but I think that's more because the CW just has terrible writing.
Oh yeah,
and terrible budget for CG again.
Yes. I know people complain about it because it's woke, but I think the bigger issue is just the writing is just bad because CW is just not. I think the problem
it's just not good. They barely have a budget
quality.
anymore.
I think the problem is it has an outdated TV schedule where it's like 20 something episodes a season. It's just too much, and I think that drags that spreads out the budget, spreads out the writing.
It's like 90% filler.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. What else? And then finally we got Swamp Thing. We're getting a film, as Dory mentioned.
Yes, Swamp Thing is awesome. I've only read. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I can't believe they're doing a film about the character from Con Air.
Don't even get that joke. Yeah, I'm super excited for this. Alan Moore, who I sometimes confuse with Grant Morrison, so I may have said one person's name or the other, which is funny because they have a whole feud with each other. But anyway, Alan Moore's has written one of the best Swamp Thing series or volumes or whatever you want to say. It's the most famous in terms of comic book runs, and that's what they're sourcing from. So I'm super excited. I've read some of the Alan Moore run, and it's really good. I didn't get super far into it, so I don't know like how good it all comes together at the end, but it's a pretty legendary run, and so it makes sense to source from it. Swamp Thing was pretty much a dead character before Alan Moore took him over, and then Alan Moore made him more horror focused, more supernatural focused, introduced really important elements that have remained for decades, basically, similar to how Batman the Animated Series made Harley Quinn a big comic book character. He helped make Swamp Thing into movies and stuff like that. So
yeah, now there was a show for like a season that got canceled.
Yes.
People were really and people
unfortunately canceled, even though I think it was doing well or looked good or whatever.
No, it was like acclaimed by everybody. I think everybody.
Yeah, it was acclaimed critically.
I didn't even watch it because I was like, I'm not gonna watch a show that's canceled. I always do that. Nothing drives me crazy like when I find like a really cool show on Netflix and I want to watch it and then I find out it's canceled. I'm like, I'm not even gonna be bothered watching this now. Or I get into a show, like I discover it, I binge the whole show in one night, and then I find out it got canceled like the next day. That happened to me a couple times.
Yep.
Like Warrior Nun, everybody loved it and they canceled it. I was pissed. Anyway, let's move. I think we're ready to move on now because we definitely I think we hit on everything. So that was
actually one thing I wanted to mention.
Sure.
Do you guys think they're gonna replace Jared Leto as the Joker?
Well, they better.
God, I hope so.
Or you think they'll keep him on?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, he keeps getting casted in movies. Every time I think, okay, his career's finally over. The dude can go be creepy and have his cult somewhere else, but then he just comes back and he's in another fucking movie. So I don't know. I wish I could say with confidence that they're going to recast his Joker, but I don't fucking know.
I like Jared Leto in some movies as an actor, but as a person, I don't. I think he's annoying. Like what shit he does off stage and stuff.
Yeah,
it's a real shame that Morbius was such a massive hit because that's just gonna perpetuate.
I know, right? Everybody should go watch Morbius on DVD so you can see how big of a great film that was.
Yeah, it's honestly terrific.
I think the best movie I liked him in was American Psycho with Christian Bale.
My favorite part of it was when he said it was Morbin time.
Yeah, I think he gets murdered in that movie. So, all right. So I do like Jared Leto as a singer though. I like his band. I like 30 Seconds to Mars. All right. Let's move on to another big franchise, which is Star Wars. We got a lot of gameplay and a lot of showcasing of Jedi Survivor, which comes out
Yes.
right around the corner. I mean, it's supposed to come out next month, but now it got delayed to April, which I have no issues with. So Dory, what stood out to you that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. Okay. So first off, you can finally. So they ran out of production time in the first one. You couldn't. You couldn't have one blade in one hand, one blade in the other, like Ahsoka does in Clone Wars,
Yeah.
which was a huge bummer. But now you can, and I'm so pumped for that. That's absolutely going to be one of my main styles. So they have 5 styles now. They call them stances. So the first, obviously, we've talked about is the double-handed. Two double-handed swords, similar to Ahsoka. Then
favorite.
obviously you've just got, well, yes, my favorite. One lightsaber in hand. You've got the dual-bladed staff,
Yeah.
and you've got 2 other stances. One is a blaster saber combo, which I find very fascinating. Very curious how that works. And then the 5th one is a Kylo Ren hilted saber stance, where basically you are like wielding a great sword, basically, and you're just coming down on folks. But obviously, you're very slow. You take more damage. Everything's kind of balanced. Like the way they were describing it, I loved it because a single blade is obviously jack of all trades. Double blade is for kind of is for like crowd control. Dual wielding is for is kind of like a more balanced approach, but you can attack more often and you're kind of faster, but you lose a little bit of attack power because your blades are broken up into 2.
Right.
It sounds awesome. I mean, it's made me pumped for the game. There's other stuff we can talk about, but we can talk about the stances for now, I guess.
Yeah, like the Great Sword is like Kylo Ren's in the sequel trilogy, as the 2.
Yeah.
And so he used the pistol and the lightsaber at the same time, or is the lightsaber like is the pistol in the lightsaber, or because like I know.
No, that would be awesome.
That's in Rebels because Ezra Bridger he uses his lightsaber as a gun as well, or pistol as well.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, no, it's not like the gun sword that Squall has in Final Fantasy, but it is basically he wields the saber with one hand and then he takes out the gun every now and then to kind of do supporting fire. Yeah. We didn't see a lot of gameplay about that. Respawn was a little bit tight-lipped about that and the hilt.
Yeah.
But they did show brief clips of it, and it looks interesting. I'm curious to see how it'll work.
Yeah, I'm watching it as you're talking, and yeah, it does look cool. I think I'm still using the double blade. I always use double blade ever since like Jedi.
Double blade's awesome.
Every game that you get to use double blade, I always use that. That was my go-to in Jedi Academy. The visuals look great. It looks like an updated version of the first game, which also looked great. Which I absolutely love that game.
Yeah.
I platinumed it twice. Although the second time I didn't, I just uploaded my save and I only had to do like the last couple missions or whatever to get the platinum. But it's a game I really really like. It's so accessible. It's so cheap. It's always on a service now, so anyone can play it. The characters I love. I was really into all the characters, the cast. I love the pilot. He was a fun character.
The Night Witch I thought was great. She was great.
Yeah, she's very interesting. Yep. And I like the whole story. I forget the lady's name. The Jedi, the former Jedi.
No, I know who you're talking about. I forget her name.
I forget the black lady. Yeah, the black lady. I forget her name, but I was really into like the Jedi Academy, like Jedi stuff like that. The Padawan and everything, and the Darth Vader scene in the first game was just mind blowing. Like they made him so terrifying, as he should be.
Yeah, it's incredible.
What else? But my big problem with that game was the backtracking. It was just way too much backtracking, and I would get easily lost. And I swear half my playtime in that game was me trying to find where to go, like how to get back. Especially like the frozen planet, it was so confusing. But this game is fixing that apparently. Sounds like we're getting more like open world travel, and you can ride on things. Yeah.
Yeah. There are 2 different mounts that have been shown. One is land and one is by air, kind of a la Breath of the Wild. So it seems like you'll be able to move around a little more freely now. They might have more open areas similar to like Uncharted 4. I don't think they're going open world, but they are having more open. They're trying to hit that sweet spot that I think games have been trying to hit for a while, where they're incorporating open world elements, but they're not biting the whole bullet on it.
As they should, as they shouldn't do that, because I hate when games try to force open world that's not there, and it just
exactly.
Not many games can actually do a good open world, so. Because a lot of times they'll just be barren wastelands of nothingness.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I mean, for the most part, it looks like the same game, just better. So that's all it really needs to be.
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't gonna blow the whole thing up and do something different. So I'm really excited for this. Looks cinematic. I love that the Disney's like making Cal like a big character. Like I think there's a rumor that he's gonna show in live action at some point. I'm just curious where and when, because this takes place like during New Hope or like before it, I think. So I'm curious like where he can fit in later on with Ahsoka.
I think what's interesting too is they had a video on the enemy variety, and we bring back a lot of the droids from the prequels, the ones that go Roger Roger, the super battle droids, the droikidas, or the droids that have the bubble shields, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited for that. I'm not sure how they're fitted, because this is before the A New Hope, like Seb said. But I think the way that they're doing this is not all of them were destroyed. Some of them have been repurposed into people's own private armies and stuff like that.
Which we know.
Like,
yeah, because in Rebels, it takes place before New Hope as well. There's battle droids in that show as well. There's still a lot of stuff left over from the Clone Wars all over the place. There's even some
absolutely.
There's even some clone troopers that are still around, as like Rex and stuff. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. We are fighting some bounty hunters like we did in the first game. So that's in there. There's a couple of new droids. The droid who choke slammed you in the first game, which I had forgotten about until I watched the video. I was like, oh my god, that choke slam.
The one from the same one as Rogue One, I think, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, hey, isn't that KR9 or whatever? I can't remember. Whatever his name is. Yeah, K2SO. Thank you, Mitch. With oh God, that's Mitch. But yeah, the awesome droid in the Rogue One. But yeah, I guess they've repurposed him, so he's not going to choke slam you anymore, which is sad. Because I kind of wanted Cal to get his back broken. But you know, they've updated him so he has like a stun baton now. They also have General Grievous's personal elite guards. Yeah. I remember fighting these guys in Republic Commando back when that was
so hard.
Yeah, those guys are fucking tough. So if that's any indication, these guys will probably be tough in this game too, even if you have a lightsaber. So yeah, I'm super jazzed. I mean, when Star Wars is good, I'm all about it. Like Mando's gonna come out soon, I'm all about it. And you'll never get me to shut up about it. But most of the time, I couldn't care less about Star Wars these days. But I'm really excited for this.
As I've always said, I'm not gonna go on a tangent, but as I've always said, I hate the sequel trilogy. But other than that, I really like what Disney's done with Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really completely agree with that. Although the third movie, I will not defend that.
Well,
but yeah.
I mean, I think like Rogue One. I liked Rogue One. I liked the Han Solo movie. It wasn't great, but I liked.
Yeah, Rogue One's so awesome. It's just another great heist movie.
I thought Andor was great. I was happy with Obi-Wan. I didn't think it was an amazing show, but I liked it. The Boba Fett show was okay. It had some cool moments in it. And Mandalorian is probably the best thing Star Wars has had in a long time. And,
yes, for sure.
I thought Rebels was good. I mean, it's a little kiddish sometimes, but it was good. The Clone Wars final season was good. So I like a lot of stuff that Disney's done. My problem with Disney Star Wars is that the sequel trilogy was such a disaster that and then Disney keeps marketing as their main timeline, main focus. It's like all their theme parks are based around the sequel trilogy, which a lot of people hate.
Okay.
Which a lot of people hate, and then the fact that like their theme parks are so inaccessible for most people. Like they're for like the rich elite people. Like you gotta pay like $4,000 a night to stay at a hotel. Like I want to go to the Star Wars land in Orlando. I'm only 3 hours away. and I don't want to pay like $200 for a lightsaber and $4,000 to stay at a hotel. It's just Disney, Star Wars has always been corporate, but it's gone like 100. It's like times 100 sometimes with Disney.
Yeah, I mean, ever since Disney bought it out, it's become
It's always been
obnoxiously
yeah,
corporate. I mean, I would say they've always been corporate, but they've gone obnoxiously corporate ever since Disney bought them.
Absolutely. I mean,
and I'm not necessarily anti-Disney, but that's just a fact.
I'm not anti-Disney. I'm a big Disney fan, but corporation's a corporation. So, so that's my biggest problem with Disney's handling of Star Wars is the fact that it's just the fact that like they focus so much on the sequel trilogy, and I thought that was a disaster. Because when I go to the theme park, and this is just me personally, because you guys will probably never be there, the Galaxy's Edge, it's just that it's so sequel trilogy focused, and I want like the authentic like old school Star Wars experience. I want to see Boba Fett and Darth Vader, which they do have Darth Vader, things like that. I don't want to see Kylo Ren in the new Stormtroopers. I'm just not into that personally. I'm not a giant Rey fan.
Just a currency thing, like the sequel trilogy is so current that I mean, I don't think you'd have people complaining that they got the original trilogy, but I think, if in big corporate, board meeting speak, they'd be like, oh, well, it's like, what are you talking about? No one likes the original trilogy because that's old and and whatnot.
It's backfired because they've not made the money that they wanted at all. It's not been
exactly.
It's not been good. It's not been going well for them. But now that Bob Iger is back in charge of Disney, we'll see. Disney's been very greedy with Disney World. It's been way overpriced. It's almost for the rich people only at this point. That's why I keep going to Universal instead. But that's a personal thing because I live in Florida, and I go to theme parks all the time. It's part of living here. So, yeah. Anyway, sorry for the tangent. Overall, I like what Disney's doing with Star Wars, and I'm excited for the future of Star Wars now because we're getting more Star Wars content than we ever got.
I really think Survivor.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, as a kid, I would have loved what we're getting right now, like all these shows and movies. Yeah. I don't know about movies, but shows, and comic books, and Star Wars is as big as ever. Like this is my dream that we're getting so much Star Wars content. So yeah.
Yeah, I will say I think Survivor is going to be similar to Ragnarok. I'm not saying in terms of quality, but I think in terms of aims, I think what they're really trying to do is they're trying to just. And not like Ragnarok's the first game to ever do this, but they're really trying to just improve on that first game, make it better, make the movement a little better. Obviously, improve certain platforming aspects because their wall running and sliding were not very good in that game. They were very touchy, and infamously, you could easily die doing those things.
True.
I also did see they're doing a similar thing that Tomb Raider did. That I don't think is the worst thing in the world, but they have these offshoots of Jedi meditation chambers where you can learn lore about the past Jedis, and then you can also like engage in puzzles. It's basically like a step back from the usual combat, and you can engage in a lot of puzzles, similar to like what Ratchet and Clank did in the most recent one, where you had those puzzles with Clank that were optional. A lot of these puzzles in meditation rooms seem to be optional, but they are for people who really like puzzles.
Yeah,
those weren't optional.
Yeah.
Oh, were they not optional? You could skip puzzles. That's what I mean. There was an accessibility.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing I didn't like about the first game was the puzzles. I thought they dragged the game down for me. But that's my general issue with the genre and period. Like that's my problem. Problem with Uncharted as well. It's like it drags it so. I'm so into the narrative and the action, and then it's like, okay, now we gotta force push this ball into a hole and open this door.
I think it's like the Jedi Fallen Order was like a classic example of how just poor, well, not poor, but like how just bland Western puzzle design is. Like it's always like physics related or something. True. It's always like put X object into this place and.
True.
Do this, do that, like it's there's no real imaginary like you compare like a Western puzzle to like something like like a Resident Evil or
Silent Hill.
Literally just any like exactly like those that actually have some thought put into it, or like have some
Yes.
uniqueness
Yes,
to them.
totally agree.
Whereas,
Where Horizon's just like put a box and climb on the box.
yeah, exactly. Or it's like, like make a pattern, or like put this key into here. Like there's no it's not they're not satisfying, and that's why they're so tedious. But I think
Yeah.
it's just because, especially for these open world games, because they are so, I'd imagine, easy to like develop and
Yeah.
make and
Yeah.
think through. Like you can just kind of copy and paste it across everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, I wouldn't say that's the biggest problem I had with Jedi Fallen Order. Like I platinumed it about a month or so ago. My biggest problem was just the fact that when you were trying to go for the collectibles and stuff, the map and just the actual accessibility of moving around was so poor
Oh my god, it's so
that
bad.
it was so bad. Like I had to force myself to
Force.
100% complete. I had to like make myself 100% everything while I was there, because I knew I did not want to return afterwards.
Yes, that
Just because
yeah. Yeah.
getting to certain places is so much harder than it really should be.
Yeah, the backtracking in that game was horrendous. That was the worst part of the game by
Yeah.
far. I was telling them that like half the game for me was like getting lost.
Yeah.
And the collectibles was brutal. Getting the platinum in that game was not fun after a certain
Yeah, I
point.
remember the map was
Yeah.
not super great. I think that was one of my criticisms of it.
Plus, you had to like
Yeah, it was terrible.
you had to grow plants in a ship to get the platinum, and I was like,
Yeah,
you had to wait
yeah.
in real time for it to
I-
grow. Oh my god, it's so stupid.
I just found an exploit to get that trophy.
Oh, okay.
I just exploited that, because apparently if you collect it and then you like go to this planet and then meditate and then exit the game and then come back in, it's fully grown.
Okay.
But yeah, like you shouldn't have to exploit a game like that in order to
Sure.
get enjoyment or get trophies and stuff.
Totally agree.
I mean, I'm not sure what you guys have said about the gameplay that came out about a week ago. I think it
Looks
like
good?
It hasn't. It looks good, but like it hasn't exactly gotten me like, oh, so hyped about it, because it just looks like more of the same.
Mitch, what about double bladed swords? Now you can carry
Okay,
one
that's-
in each hand.
that is true. That is true. But
I guess you.
I'm
Go.
I don't know. I'm sure when I actually have it in my hands, like I'll be like, oh, this is fantastic. The gameplay is so good, because the gameplay is really good.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's also just like, I don't know. I'll have to see more. I think it's the story that'll really make or break this.
For sure.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say, just to agree with you, kind of agree with
Hmm.
you. They haven't really shown much of anything about the story. Some
No.
basic things here and there, but
It doesn't.
It
doesn't.
yeah,
The
I
gameplay
agree.
doesn't have to change anything really, because it's a typical third-person action game. So the genre is not going to make any huge innovation in a while. But I guess you could argue that they could have easily did like lightsaber stances, like Star Wars. If you're a Star Wars nerd like I am, you know that lightsabers. There's different forms of like lightsaber battles. Like each Jedi or Sith has like a defensive stance, offensive stance, and they all have their own unique style. And they could have easily did like a Neo style where like you can do 4 different stances, or even like Ghost of Tsushima. You could have did something like that. But,
I mean, it kind of seems they are doing Ghost of Tsushima.
yeah.
Almost.
Yes, but that was like seamless. Like he changed stances. Like I don't think can you do that in this game? Like is it seamless like that, or do you have to like go in the menu?
I don't know if it's seamless, but you can definitely change stances.
I know you can do that, but is it like because Ghost of Tsushima, if I remember correctly, you just hit like R1 and triangle or whatever or something like that.
Oh yeah.
You don't have
I mean,
to
it
go to a
was
menu and change settings.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
true,
doubt you have
true.
to change settings. I'm pretty sure it is like quick menu.
Yeah, it
or
is.
what-
Okay.
In Ghost, it is seamless. Yeah.
Okay, because I like that. Like that's the cool thing about Neo. If you're, I don't think I don't know if any of you ever played Neo, but
I played a bit of the first one.
it's
Yeah.
a
I
Souls.
thought you were talking about the Matrix game, and I was like, what the fuck?
No, it's a Souls game, but like it's a samurai game, but it's like 4
Oh,
different stances.
yeah, Neo, Nioh. Okay.
Yeah, and it changes the
Yeah.
entire it changes how you tackle an enemy because so it was really unique, but it's definitely hard to master. All right, I think we've talked about this game enough, so I think we should move on. So let's get to the next thing, which is the Nintendo Direct. We're not gonna hit on everything in the Direct, as most of us are not. I don't think any of us really dug like most of what they showed. Not saying it's bad, but it just wasn't for me personally.
It was just okay.
Yeah, like it's just I love anime, but I just a lot of anime games, as people say, I don't. Some of those games just no appeal to me at all. But there's a
Yeah.
couple I want to hit on. And first, I want to hit on Pikmin 4, which we haven't had a Pikmin game in a long time. It's been since the Wii U. Um, we did get a Switch port of Pikmin 3, but it's been since the Wii U that we got a Pikmin game. And Pikmin games are really fun in my opinion. I really like that style, that gameplay of like controlling a bunch of little Pikmin and throwing them at people, and building stuff with the Pikmin. It doesn't look like anything like mind-blowingly incredible, but it's something I really want to play. Because Pikmin games are just fun. They're little colorful, little characters. They never overstay their welcome. They're only like 8-hour games, and yeah, I don't have a lot to say. It just looks like a fun game. And what else? So why I look mine up? Dory, you can talk about what interested you.
Sure. One of the newer games that got me excited was the one called Harmony: The Fall of Reverie. This is by Life is Strange dev Don't Nod. It's basically a story-based game. The game sees an evil mega corporation threatening to destroy the balance between our world and the mystical land of Reverie. Your character has the power to travel between worlds and see the future. The game features a branching story and a soundtrack from Celeste composer Lena Raine. If it's not obvious, I am reading from a website, gamesradar.com. They are, so it seems really cool. A lot of branching paths. I really like the animation. I'm curious if it gets good reviews. I might check it out. Nothing I was like stoked about, but it looked interesting.
Definitely. Is it only on Switch, or it's on Steam?
I think
as well?
so.
Looks like it's on Steam.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, it might be on Steam. Yeah, might be on
yeah,
Steam.
Yeah, it's on Steam.
Okay.
Yeah, I
But
like
Harmony, the Fall Reverie, that was one of the ones that caught my eye.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I really like the art style of it. And
Yes.
Although
And
like,
Celeste composer is good news for it too.
Yeah, Celeste
the Celeste soundtrack is
amazing.
Fantastic.
My only thing is Don't Nod is like 50-50 with me when there's storytelling. Cause like what was that game? There was like they made like Twin Mirror or whatever,
Twin Mirror. Yeah, and it wasn't very good.
No,
by most accounts.
And Before the Storm was good, but it had some problems as well.
Yeah, I really like Before the Storm, but I mostly like the DLC.
Yeah. Okay, so what was it? Oh, okay. I found it. Deca Police. It's like this cool, like very anime, but like they're like these very anime looking police officers, and it's kind of like in a digital world, and not Digimon.
Oh damn it! I was thinking that too.
It has a really cool like Persona 5 vibe to it. Like it's very stylized, and the turn based looks like Persona 5. So it looks really cool. That really jumped out at me. I might actually pick that up this year. And then although the other one that jumped out at me was the Mickey Mouse game, Disney Illusion Island. I love Disney, and I'm a huge Mickey Mouse fan, and I really like the art style. It looks really cool. I love me some platformers. This is like a 2D platformer. It looks like a really fun game to play with your friends. It's like 4-person co-op and stuff. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Which one is it? Sorry.
Disney Illusion Island.
Oh yeah. The one that looks like Mickey should have called for Sora, but he didn't for some reason.
Yeah. It reminds me of Castle Illusion. Did you ever play that? The original or the remake?
No, I never played that.
Yeah, it's a great platformer. This game sounds like it looks like it'd be really fun when you play with your friends. I mean, it's a little kids game, it seems like, but I definitely want to check that out. I'm curious if it's a Switch exclusive only or not. Because as you know, I usually play third-party games on my PS5 if I can. So, but it looks like a fun game. And then the last one for me personally was Metroid Prime, which we'll talk about. So
yeah.
So what was the other game you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, real quick, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. It's a very me-esque game. It's a detective game. I love me a detective game. Just ask me how I feel about Disco Elysium. but it's an adventure game. It was originally on the DS back in 2010, 2011. They're doing a remaster for the Switch. Basically, you die and you have to solve your murder as a ghost. I think it's kind of a cool premise. Like I said, it didn't get me stoked, but I was like, oh, that's neat. Maybe I'll check that out if it's like low enough and gets good reviews.
Right. Also, what just stood out to me was Octopath Traveler 2, which is coming on PS5, so I am getting it on PS5, which is very weird because the original is not on PlayStation, but it's on Game Pass and Nintendo, but yet Octopath Traveler 2 is on PS5, but it's not coming to Xbox. So I don't know what Square Enix is drinking. I don't know if they're drinking something right now, but something in the water over there, but another thing, the Kirby game, Return to Dreamland, was pretty cool, but I don't think I'm going to spend $60 on that. It just didn't stood out to me that much. What else? There's one more. Oh yeah, the Mario Kart. We're getting a new arena, new level, or new levels rather. So that looked cool, and then finally, Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, which I'm super excited about. That's the favorite for game of the year probably. Unless it like does nothing new original and people are like it has that God of War Ragnarok effect where it's like the first game's incredible, even if this game's objectively better, it's still the same, too much of the same. So people like to reward the newer games. But it looks great. I mean, it really stands out to me. I just need to see some gameplay because I don't want broken weapon system again. I don't want like. I want better puzzles than what we got. I was not into all the dungeons. I think the weakest part of Breath of the Wild, even though it's a masterpiece, was the dungeons. I thought the puzzles were just not interesting at all. But
I only played I only played 5 hours of it, but I definitely was not a huge fan of the dungeons.
Yeah, but it looks more cinematic. It has a lot of these huge moments, like shit's blowing up everywhere, and it looks a lot more epic. It looks like there's a lot more traversal because it's like in the sky and stuff. So we'll see. I mean, there's not much you really can say yet because we haven't seen a ton of this game yet, like gameplay wise. It looks mostly the same, but just a little better. But I can't really judge the gameplay until I see like a whole showcase for it. But the big topic of that though was that it's the fact that it's $70, which a lot of people are pissed about. Now, if you ask me, Nintendo is the most greedy of the big three. They're the most anti-consumer of all of the three, and it is a bad look for a game to be on outdated hardware, to be $70 when the competitors are giving you like high quality games. Even though this game is probably going to be incredible on a game of itself, but I mean like in terms of like the performance and visuals and stuff. But at the same time, my opinion is that games are gonna be more expensive. Games are more expensive to be made to make nowadays. So and there's inflation and stuff. So I don't have an issue with game prices going up. My issue is actually before I say my issue, it's also the fact that you can wait for games. You don't have to get games day one. I don't know why people always feel like they have to get every game day one. I know FOMO is a real thing, but I know Nintendo games don't go down in price, so I do understand the argument about that. But it's just to me, it's just never an issue. If I want a game, I'll play them whatever I want. All right, and you know Zelda's gonna sell no matter what. They can sell this game for $100 and people are gonna buy it. People are gonna bitch online, and then nothing's gonna happen. You know how people boycotted Pokemon and then Pokemon broke records in like 3 days. So
nuts.
Nintendo people are lucky Nintendo doesn't like think like, oh, I'm gonna make this game $100. They'll buy it anyway. So. I'm not defending Nintendo. I'm just saying, like, the $70 argument never holds a lot of water to me, only because games are more expensive to be made. I think the bigger argument is, should games be as expensive to make as they are? Like, should companies really? But I blame the gamer. Yeah. I also kind of blame the gamers for that though, because people are like, that doesn't look AAA. I don't want that game. I want a big cinematic open world. Blah, blah. So I kind of blame gamers too, that they feel like they have to have these big cinematic horizon type of games. And they don't support the indies and the AA games as well, and so the companies feel like they have to do these AAA cinematic $80 games. So you can make an argument on both. You can make an argument on both sides. Is what I'm saying.
But then there's also the added equation of the AAA games are the ones that get the most marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So they get the
Yeah, exactly.
are the ones that most people are aware of.
Yeah. So games are more expensive to be made, and inflation is a real thing, and things get more expensive. It's just naturally how it goes. I think the standard now is going to start being those deluxe editions being like 3-day early access. I think that's how they're going to offset cost. Because I think there's going to be a lot of people that want to pay like for the deluxe editions to play games early.
Yeah.
So like if Diablo does that, like you can play a week early, a lot of people are going to do that. For sure. So, Call of Duty. Imagine Call of Duty like, you can play 2 weeks early. People are gonna pay the $80 to do that. So, that's probably gonna be the norm, I'd imagine. Because I think Hogwarts Legacy did that, and it was a huge success. So,
It's literally sold out everywhere, which is surprising.
I did
mean,
that.
it's surprising. It's surprising.
I did that.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
No, it's the only game.
Gangbusters it
No, that's like the only game I'm probably gonna do that for this year, besides maybe like Final Fantasy. But even then, I can wait 3 days to play that.
Yeah.
What else? I think that's it. Do you guys have anything to say about the $70 conversation about Zelda? Are any in this game?
Here's my very cheeky, sarcastic comment on it. Simple life hack for me. Not gonna buy it. So not a problem for me. Yeah. But I do, in all seriousness, I sympathize with folks who think $70 is too much. It's outdated hardware. The Switch Pro really should have been a thing a year or two ago by now. Then talk to me about $70. Yeah. I do think, I understand inflation is a thing. And look, we all just went through and are still kind of going through a goddamn pandemic. So I get it, it's not completely Nintendo's fault, but also, Nintendo is one of the most popular, well-known corporations of the world, so I feel like they don't have to make it 70 if they don't want to. But who knows?
Especially when Nintendo is making theme parks now, and Nintendo's probably as big as it's ever been. It just passed PS4 in sales. Nintendo World just opened up in California after opening up in Japan, and we're getting one in Orlando. So Nintendo is even bigger than it was before, and.
Mario movie is going to be huge.
And that Mario movie is coming out this year as well. So, and you imagine if that movie's going to be a huge success, they're going to make more Nintendo movies. So, Nintendo does not need to make their games $10 more. They're not. They really don't need to do that. But
especially not on outdated hardware with a game that seems to be mostly so far a modest improvement on Breath of the Wild. I don't know, obviously for sure, but from the trailers I've seen, I haven't seen anything that's like, wow, that's a must play,
right?
Or is simply incredible improvements compared to the original. But I don't know, I'm biased.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. My hype is just for the fact that A, Breath of the Wild was a masterpiece, and B, that Zelda games are always good. Like I never played a Zelda game really that I absolutely hated. I know there's a couple of duds, but I never played them. But in terms of like mainstream Zelda games, it's a very consistent franchise. It's something you can always trust for it to be at least good. So
I love Zelda, so I'm really bummed that I'm just not into the direction that they're going right now. But I'm happy for everybody who is, so that's great. I'll play other games.
Exactly.
A big loss.
So the $70 price is very it's very mixed. It's a very complicated answer. You can see both sides of it, but ultimately, I don't think Nintendo really needs to make this game $70. But will I buy it for $70? Of course. But although technically I'm not going to, because we finally in the U.S. got the vouchers back, which I don't know why they got rid of it. They have it all over the world except for the U.S. We had it and they got rid of it in the U.S. They were like, screw you guys, goodbye.
Hey Seb, you want to know a little secret about why they got rid of it, Seb?
What?
They're greedy.
Yeah. But why would
money?
But right, I guess that makes sense. But
yeah.
But why everywhere but the U.S.?
I don't know. That is puzzling. That aspect of it is puzzling. I agree.
Because they didn't take it away in Japan, and Nintendo dominates Japan.
Maybe it has something to do with the fact that they're run by different entities. Nintendo of America, Nintendo of Europe, Nintendo.
Well, I would imagine the main one decides that, right? Ultimately, like makes
Who
it
knows,
over,
honestly.
I don't know, but either way, it's back. So what I can do is I can buy the voucher for $100 and get 2 games for $100 and save like $30. Because if I get Zelda and Pikmin together, that'd be $130. But if I buy the vouchers for $100, I can get both those games for $100. So I save $30. So I buy all my Switch games digital, so it's perfect for me. So that's probably that's what I'm going to do in May. So the $70 compensation doesn't even affect me really, just because of the fact that I'm getting the vouchers. So I hope they keep them, but I think they're only for Nintendo Online users. So I could be wrong, but I think so. So yeah. Anyway, I think I'm the only like person super excited for this game. So I apologize for not talking too much about this.
All right,
No,
so
I honestly I wish I was excited for Breath of the Wild or what's it, Tears of the UK.
Tears
I
of the
believe the
That's right,
official
that one.
title is the sequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Tears of the UK.
The sequel to the first one.
That's what I'm gonna.
Um,
They've changed the name, but I'm gonna keep calling it the sequel to the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Didn't they reveal the title like right when like the Prime Minister stepped down or whatever? Well, it wasn't like
No, the Queen died.
It was when the Queen
Queen
died.
died. Yeah.
The Queen died. Like
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Queen died, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to delay it a day out of respect, and then the title was revealed to be Tears of the Kingdom.
whoops.
Oh yeah, yep, I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys are just. I guess you guys are just not giant Nintendo fans. I mean, Dory's more so, but. So it's not.
Yeah, really not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I like Mitch. I wish I was excited for this game. I'm a big Zelda fan. I mean, I love Skyward Sword. I love Majora's Mask, one of my favorite games of all time. I love Twilight Princess, and yeah. But I can't get behind the new open world philosophy with Zelda, and it sucks. I'm very picky about open world games, so it doesn't surprise me that much.
Yeah, I mean, you're not alone. There's a lot of Zelda fans that don't like Breath of the Wild, just because they didn't like the dungeons and the open world. Some people just like linear.
I played more linear 5 hours. I found it very monotonous. I hate the weapon breaking. I hate the weather system. It's just a lot of things about that game just turn me off. But other people love it, and hey, more power to you.
Yep, exactly. All right, so finally, Nintendo Direct they shadow dropped, kind of like Hi-Fi Rush. Metroid Prime Remastered. So this has been the year of shadow drops. We got 2 bangers as a shadow drop. So Metroid Prime Remastered, which is a great game from the GameCube. I haven't played it since 2003, 2004. Maybe earlier than that. And yeah, the remaster is pretty good. It's a high quality like remaster. I mean, for the Switch. I mean, it's not like
it looks damn good. I mean, if you told me this was a modern game in terms of a Switch, I wouldn't be that surprised.
Yeah, it's not Last of Us Part 1 if that's what you're expecting, but it's a high quality remaster. It's actually really well done game. Because even Metroid Prime there when it first came out, the original was like really good visually. Like people were blown away by the rain effects and stuff like that for the time. So this game always kind of had a high quality to it. But yeah, as Dory said, it looks like a game that just came out today on the Switch. So Dory, can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I haven't been secretly playing it while we've been recording, so I can tell you all about it. But no, this game's super addicting. I love this game. So background on me and Metroid, I played Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. Mm-hmm. I actually remember the day. Was that Twilight Princess or Metroid Prime 3? But I played Metroid Prime 3 Corruption on the Wii when it came out. I loved it so much. I never went back and played the GameCube games like I should have. But so I've never played Metroid Prime 1. I've never played 2. I never played any of the SNES or NES games either. All I've ever played is Corruption and Hunters, the one for DS that you could do multiplayer with. I don't know why, but for some reason I picked that up. It was really fun too. I absolutely adore this game. I will say this game is 20 years old for both good and bad. Gameplay absolutely holds up. My biggest problem with the game, and this is going to drive some people bonkers, and it drives me bonkers. I've already lost my temper once or twice about it, is the game does not have any autosaves. So if you do not hard save for an hour or something, it doesn't matter if you beat a boss. It doesn't matter if you get a big upgrade. It doesn't matter if you get to a new part of a map. It doesn't matter. You've got to hard save all the time. Backtracking sometimes if you feel like you're going to die.
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through the game. I reached this part very recently, today actually, where I was fighting a lot of space pirates that were very heavily armored, and I did not want to backtrack because A, the save point was very far away. B, I tried backtracking the first time and got walloped by other space pirates because respawning is a thing in this game. So sometimes you're just kind of hecked and they're not in any kind of situation to backtrack or move forward. You're just kind of screwed and you lose a lot of progress. And that does kind of make you go similar to Seb's story, kind of go like, full Super Saiyan, and you just go like, all right, fuck all of you. I'm killing all of you and I'm not taking a single hit. And that happened to me after like the second or third time I lost 20 minutes of progress. It's brutal.
Yeah, it's old school.
So,
Memory card
yeah,
based.
so I that's my biggest problem with this game is it's very contingent on hard saves. Now, to be fair, that hasn't been a problem for me for most of the game. Only this one part I played today, it drove me absolutely bonkers because they throw wave after wave after wave, then a boss, then a couple more waves, then a powerful, unique enemy, and then you get a save point. And there's like, I don't know, a good 20, 30 minutes between it. Also a puzzle that was pretty challenging. So that if I have any criticism of this game, and I think the music is excellent. I think the gameplay is excellent. And I think the story is interesting for whatever it is. I don't really play FPSs for the story, but there's definitely plenty of lore here for people who love that kind of thing. That's the one thing that holds it back. You can't skip cutscenes, and there's no auto saves, which I understand it's a 20-year-old game, but this is a fucking remaster, and Nintendo definitely has the money to hire somebody to do an autosave every time you enter a different room or some shit, because it's a real pet peeve of mine to start over and lose 20, 30 minutes of progress. It's just not respectful of the player's time, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I understand.
They could have made autosaves like optional for people, like to choose.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You can make them optional. If you want that hardcore experience of Metroid where you backtrack, you don't have saves, you're on the edge of your seat, like that has an appeal. Absolutely. Doesn't appeal to me, fuck that, but it appeals to some people, and that's totally cool. But yeah, I think this game is great. I'm about halfway through. I've played maybe the Switch won't tell me how many hours because I'm playing, but I would say about 8 hours, maybe close to 10 at this point. But I'm loving it. I mean, it's a super great game. Just know that if you're going to play it, you have to hard save, because otherwise you are going to be very upset when you lose an hour of progress.
Yep. Like Dory said, it's one of the best first-person shooters of all time. It's a really great game. This remaster is really well done. I can't, and it's crazy they shadow dropped it, but I do think they had it for a long time, and they finally decided to shadow drop it. I do think it's shitty that they separated the trilogy. They're gonna make us pay $120.
Oh, shitty.
But
shit! And am I going to buy all three individually, Seb? Yes, I am.
Well, you and everybody else, and they know.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all gonna fucking buy it, but it's a shitty corporate, awful marketing strategy. But yeah, we're all gonna buy it.
Of course. Yeah.
Yep.
So. But but the game itself is really great. The thing is, it's not like Call of Duty, or it's like linear, straight ahead. Like there's backtracking, there's puzzles.
I'm not too proud to admit that I'm actively using an IGN guide. I'm very. By the time I got to Fenendra, the ice plains, I was like, you know what? I think I need help here. I was doing okay. I wasn't like getting lost all the time, but I needed help like figuring out where to go. And IGN has a really great guide. I swear we're not sponsored by them, but they have a really great guide on Metroid Prime. And so I've just been following it along when I need it. I mean, sometimes it's totally obvious. Like Ridley will just fly over and be like, "Hey, asshole, over here." That happened like once, and I'm like, okay, that's the way I should go. Obviously.
Yeah.
There's also a hint system. I think this is really cool. I learned this today by talking to other people. But the hint system, if you have that on, it activates every so number of rooms. to basically say, hey, you dummy, like go over here. And it basically says like abnormal gravity reading or pirate base located or whatever. And it's really cool because you can do a certain amount of exploring, and then eventually the game will be like, hey, just in case you want to and not focus on upgrades, you can go. So I think that's brilliant. I think that's great. But I'm using the IGN guide because I get lost super easily.
Yeah, I was curious if like how you're gonna handle this game because I know you have a terrible sense of direction.
I really do, and I've not been shy about that. But yeah, no, I have handled it. I mean, I think even without the guide, I was doing okay. But with the guide, I feel like I've streamlined it a lot better, and I'm enjoying myself more. I think that's for me. That's just how I want to play this game. I mean, maybe I'll play, 2 and 3 differently, depending on if it's a little more streamlined. But sometimes it's just not obvious which way you're supposed to go. And I just don't have the patience to do guesswork. I mean, Ishin is coming out soon. Atomic Heart's coming out soon. I don't have time to be running all around the world. I can't remember what it's called. Talos. Running around the world and being like, where the fuck do I go next?
Yeah. I know I'm the same way. I do not hide the fact that like if I'm at after 5 minutes of a puzzle, I'm looking it up. I'm not wasting my 45 an hour. You only get so much game time if you work full time like I do. You only get so much time to play games. You can't. I'm not gonna waste my 2 hours or whatever time I have to solve.
I have a 20-hour. I have about a 20-hour work week, and I'm a full-time student. I mean, like I don't have time to be running around going like ooh ah.
Yeah.
So
I'm a teacher. I got like 9-hour work days, and then I got like 5 hours of like lesson plans and planning and all that.
Exactly.
I don't got time.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Exactly. So
ain't nobody got time for that.
So that helped. So people wonder how I beat games fast, because I don't waste 3 hours of my life trying to solve a puzzle myself, because I'm not doing that. What else? So yeah, it's a great game. It's a Metroid game, so it's all about the backtracking and finding hidden passages to like get upgrades, and you get rewarded for exploring as every Metroid game. So it's a great shooter, but at the same time, it's basically a Metroid game, just 3D. That's really all. It's basically the best way to describe this game.
I will never stop criticizing the Metroid series for the whole trope of a pebble falls on Samus's suit and she goes, oh no, I've lost all my powers, time to go randomly find them on this alien planet I've never been to before.
They do that all the time, every game.
God.
But no, does this game make you want to play Dread at some point, or do you have no interest in that?
I don't know. See, to me, I think about them as completely different kinds of experiences and games, but I don't know. Like, I was a little tempted because I know that there's an easier mode for Dread now. I think they did that as an update.
Yes.
So that was the thing that made me the most interested. Like, okay, like maybe I would try it on that, and if I'm like, oh, this is super easy, then maybe I would play it on normal or something. I mean, I know Dread got excellent reviews. I love Samus.
It was my game of the year.
I said, I grew up playing Corruption and Hunters, so Bounty Hunters on the DS. So I think she's an awesome character in general. But yeah, so I don't know. I think about them as such different games, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because
they are.
It seems
one's a first-person shooter, the other's not.
Yeah, right. I would think Dread is like kind of roguelite-ish, isn't it? Or am I misremembering?
No, it's a Metroidvania.
Oh, Metroidvania. Okay,
I mean,
I get those mixed up.
It's in the name.
It is in the name. The hint is in the name. But yeah. I don't know. Once I finish this and I get Ishin and Atomic Heart, I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe if I saw a good deal, but that goes back to our discussion of Nintendo and deals. So
I've seen that game about $40, $35. So.
Oh, that's not bad. I bought this for $40. So
yeah. That game's on sale. I mean, Switch games do go on sale. Yeah. It just takes a while.
But... They do. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, but I recommend, obviously, it's my game of the year. Metroid Dread was just incredible. And I'm not a giant Metroid fan by any means. I have a very limited connection to the series. I played Super Metroid but on the Super Nintendo, but I never beat it or anything. I don't know shit about the game.
Yeah.
But
yep.
Only thing I know through Metroid was Metroid Prime, the 3 games, and I never beat any of them except the first one. And
Yep.
I only really know it because my friend and I played it together on the GameCube. I went to his house. We played it together. That was about it though. Like
I will say there's some really funny logs in the game. I don't read like many of them honestly because I don't care that much about the story.
Yeah.
Sorry, but it's not really for me. And again, that's not why I play FPS games by and large. I'm looking at you, Doom Eternal. But yeah, I there was a really funny part where the pirates are like, okay, we've got to somehow replicate how Samus Aran does her weapons. So we've gotten like a really good bead on like her cannons, but every time we've tried the morph ball, our test subjects have gotten crushed. So we've decided to not do that anymore. And I just thought that was super funny. Just a little thing there that like, I don't know, there's not a lot of comedy or humor obviously in this game, but I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. All right. I think we hit on everything, right? Is there anything else you wanted to mention?
It's a beautiful game. I mean, honestly, it's nice to look at. I want to reiterate, the soundtrack is a bop. Every single song is fun to listen to, memorable.
Is phenomenal. One of the best soundtracks of all time in a game.
Yeah, it's a legendary track for a reason. The theme song goes hard. It's incredibly good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really have very little bad to say about this game, and most good. I mean, the gameplay feels good. The enemy variety is great. The environments are excellent. The puzzles are challenging, but they don't feel overwhelming most of the time. And I'm not very good at puzzles, and I'm similar to Seb. I'll nope out if I have to.
Yeah.
I super recommend this if you have not played Metroid Prime like I hadn't, or haven't played in a very long time. I think $40 is honestly a fair price for this.
Not only that,
would I have it lower? I would have it a little lower maybe, but
Yeah,
I think 40 is not too bad.
Are you using a Pro Controller?
No, I'm just using the nunchucks.
Oh, okay.
Or not nunchucks.
The Joy-Cons.
What are they called?
The Joy-Cons.
The Joy-Cons. Thank you. Sorry.
I could never imagine playing a Switch game without the Pro Controller. I think it's one of the greatest controllers ever made.
Yeah, I know some people
perfect.
swear by it. I
don't even own one.
It's perfect.
It doesn't bother me honestly.
Oh yeah, I mean,
But I have had some like every now and then I'll get a little confused about which button I'm supposed to press, but I've gotten used to it.
I only like the DualSense a little more because of the features, but this is one of the greatest controllers ever made. Like it's perfectly sized. The battery lasts like an eternity. This thing never dies. Like it takes like literally 70 hours of gameplay for this thing.
Yeah.
And it charges like in 5
But
minutes.
the thing I was kind of thinking of there is the fact that if like Dory's saying that the gameplay is really good, the fact that she's playing it on the Joy-Cons, a first-person shooter, is high praise.
Yeah.
So you control the you control the aiming with the gyro, or
yes, you can. Now there are different control schemes. So if you don't like the control scheme that the game starts with, you can. I'm trying to look at the options right now. You can do dual stick, you can do pointer, you can do hybrid, or you can do classic. So I mean, there is probably going to be a control scheme that is for you if you do not like the dual stick. I like the dual stick just fine. But maybe the hybrid or the classic's better. I don't know. I doubt the pointer is better.
So you're playing with the gyro, or you have that off?
Yeah, I'm playing with the Joy-Cons with the sticks.
I'm guessing you're aiming like that. Gotcha.
Yeah, I think so.
Like waving your hands around and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, no. Sorry, I am using the control sticks.
Gyro is when you aim with. When you aim with the controller like that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like the best way to play the best Resident Evil 4 version is the Wii version, because the gyro with that game is perfect. It changes the whole game, which is weird to say. But Resident Evil 4 is the best versions on the Wii.
I know, and I played it on the Wii, and it fucking rules. Exactly. That it's so good on the Wii. But
I mean, the critics agree with you, and got 95 on Metacritic. They got 8.8 on user score, so people are really digging this.
This will probably be in my top 10. I mean, again, the only big criticisms I have: lack of autosaves, lack of skippable cutscenes. That's about it. Yeah. If they had done that, I think honestly this would be very close to a 5 out of 5 for me.
I mean,
And I'm not even the biggest Metroid fan. I'm not a big fan of backtracking, but I honestly think this game makes it fun and very rewarding to backtrack, which is key, obviously, if you're going to have people revisit areas.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I mean, I'm using an IGN guide. I'm streamlining the process a bit because my sense of direction is shit, and I'm just not trusting myself. Like right now, I'm totally lost about where the hell I'm going. So I'm gonna look at the guide in a second.
Right. I mean, what an amazing year so far. I mean, every game I've played that's new that came out this year has been good.
Yeah.
Good to great. I mean,
I literally do not know of a game that's come out so far this year that has been bad or considered bad.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you got like the obscure games, and like I know One Piece wasn't that great. A lot of people didn't like that, but
You could argue Forspoken, but I feel like a lot of the
Yeah,
reviews just
Forspoken.
leaned on
I'm not gonna lie.
average.
I forgot about Forspoken.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Forgotten.
Yeah.
Alright,
Forgotten, Forspoken.
the thing is, like I said with Forspoken, that game does have a hate agenda against it for some reason. Like, there's people that like just bitch about every little thing about that game. I'm not defending it because I didn't play it or anything. But the timeline I see has been pretty positive. I mean, they're not saying it's like incredible, but I think people are actually digging it. I'm definitely gonna play it. Just feel not like for $70. They kiss my ass for $70. But
yeah, exactly.
For $20, I'm getting it. I'll get it. But $70, I don't know. Like, I think the game.
I left a copy
anyway.
of Forspoken in my car, and somebody broke the window and left 3 more.
But anyway, yeah, like I said, Hogwarts Legacy was like a 9 for me. Hi-Fi Rush was a 9 for me.
Dead Space remake.
Dead Space remake was like a 9.5. Seasons Letter to the Future was like an 8 for me. So, and then this game's like a 9. Metroid Prime's like a 9. So it's been a banger year so far. I mean, and then next week, the next episode, we're gonna be talking about all these huge games coming out. Like, you know,
I'm so excited to play Ishin. I'm so excited to play Atomic Heart. I mean, both look like really great games, really polished.
Absolutely.
And I mean, Atomic Heart's on Game Pass, so there's really not a lot to lose there.
Exactly. And the PSVR comes out next week, and Sony sent me an email yesterday saying they shipped it, so I'm so excited to have it in my hands. And then you got
they told Seb, great job on the podcast. They're going to send us that money in the mail soon, right, Seb?
Yep. I said I've talked to Jen personally about the podcast, so
that's right.
I have to disclaim that legally.
Sony pony for life.
Send me the check. Yeah, I have to disclaim that. And then I don't. Mitch, are you getting the Destiny expansion?
I am. I have already pre-ordered it.
So we're gonna talk about that.
So
because
as well. Oh shit! Yeah, that comes out in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's insane how quickly you lose track of time and realize, oh yeah, all of this is coming out now.
Right. And then I'll also be talking about Octopath Traveler 2, and then right like the day before the next episode we're gonna record, Wo Long comes out on PS5 and Game Pass. So I'm gonna so that's like, I don't know if that's enough time to talk about it, but we'll see.
I constantly get confused between that one, like, and the is it the Black Myth?
Yeah.
No,
same.
I literally just got confused between them while we were talking about it.
Same, because
Wukong Black Myth.
Yeah,
which I think
because
actually
I remember like a month ago, like I think like I was browsing Twitter and seeing it's like, oh, the Black Myth, like the indie one, that's not coming out till like at least like 2024.
Yeah, who knows?
So I'm like, oh, okay. And then like I went onto my YouTube feed and then I saw like a 15-minute gameplay trailer for the other one, the one that's coming out, like the Team Ninja one. I'm like, wait, hold on, how do we already have gameplay if it's a year and a half away? Like, this looks pretty finished to me.
I know the names are familiar, they're similar, but you look at the gameplay, they look very different.
Oh yeah, if you put them side by side.
I honestly, if Wukong gets good reviews and it's not soul-crushingly, pun intended, soul-crushingly hard, then I might actually pick it up, because I mean, I'm a sucker for, I love Dragon Ball Z. I love that whole Journey to the West kind of story. So, and I know it's only loosely based around that, but I mean, if it's not overly difficult, I might check it out. I don't know. I've been really impressed by the gameplay I've seen.
You mean Wukong?
For the most part.
The Wukong one?
Yeah, Wukong. Sorry.
Because this one's on Game Pass. I was like, you don't have to buy this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. My only thing with Wo Long is that I'm not a big Neo fan. I like Souls games, but I don't like the very fast ones. Sekiro just didn't click with me like other people. I much prefer like more of like a Dark Souls style, or like Elden Ring. Because Neo is just too brutal for me. I'm not good with parrying, and I get frustrated. So I think that I like this game's on Game Pass. So at least if I like it, maybe down the road I'll get it on PS5 or whatever. I don't know, or I'll just stick with Game Pass. So I'm happy that I can try this game out without like having to spend any money, and just try it.
Yeah.
It's outside the subscription, of course. So yeah, we'll see. But either way, a lot of games coming out, and then right after that, Resident Evil 4 comes out. So 2 weeks after that, Resident Evil 4. So,
Jesus Christ.
and then after that, Star Wars, and after that, Suicide Squad,
Yeah.
and after that,
God.
Diablo and Final Fantasy, and
I'm just glad I have February vacation next week so I can focus on Ishin and Atomic Heart.
oh, that's awesome. My spring break is in the middle of March, so we'll see.
Yeah, I have. You know what's fucked is
my
I have a break from school that doesn't coincide with college, and then college has a break that doesn't coincide with my job, and so it's the worst because I have off from one, but I don't have off from the other. But oh well. But yeah, I'm excited. I get to play both those.
Yep.
I will say, going back to Metroid for a second, one of my favorite moments was when Meta Ridley, I guess he's called Meta Ridley. I have no fucking idea why. He apparently met up with Cooler from Dragon Ball Z, and they decided they wanted to make their name Meta. But anyway, he was like flying away, and I'm like, I'm gonna move myself away from the mic for this. But I was like, yeah, that's right. You fly away, you oversized fucking chicken. But anyway, that was my favorite moment. I just decided to just yell at Ridley.
That's I mean, even though like the Dragon Ball Z movie came out in the 90s, that's so like 2003ish to like name things meta. Like everything was
meta.
Everything was a robot. It was like Mecha Frieza,
Yep.
Mecha
Yep.
Cooler. That's so like mid 2000s. All right, I think that's everything. So thanks for watching. Do you guys want to do an outro? Do you have anything you want to plug before we go?
I want to plug the hydration, H2O. Drink your water.
Yeah.
I need to go drink some water after this shit.
Yeah.
I forgot to bring my water bottle with me, and I was just screwed until then.
Yep.
100%.
Especially you live in Australia. I know it's hot right now.
It's so fucking hot. I hate it.
It's back in the 80s here now, so our winter is over now. We don't get spring, we get summer.
Yeah, we've been up in the 50s and 60s lately.
Oh, well. No, don't get me wrong. It was
People.
It was beautiful, 70 sunny. It was really nice. But now it's over. So our 4 days of winter is over. All right. So anything? No, Dory, you have anything to plug or?
Yeah, I mean, just the usual stuff. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at dford192. Haven't been doing too much of late with school and work, kind of kicking my ass.
Same.
But yeah, you can check me out there for any recent highlights, any content. I talk a lot about wrestling. A lot of wrestling going on this weekend, so I'll be talking about it once the weekend's over and I can actually watch it.
All right, and James?
Nope, nothing to plug.
Okay. Well, you can follow me at LittleSeb93, and if you just follow me, I just talk about video games mostly, and movies and shows and here and there, sometimes anime. Talk about sports sometimes, but other than that, mostly games. So you follow me at LittleSeb93, and if you want to listen to us, you can follow us. You can see us. You can listen to us on Spotify and YouTube. All right, you all have a good night. Peace.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Peace.
Imagine
and
if I
hell.
wasn't recording the whole time.